Fue tan grande la causa que ahora se unieron más 100% negros.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back. Yo, I'm black and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blickety black, 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 I'm black, 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 y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, cause I'm black.
Day in Paradise, Saturday evening. Shout out to DC. So I guess I can actually dedicate this stream to you, DC, because you shared this video with me. A couple other videos you shared as well that I actually want to cover on the next time, but I appreciate it. I've been out of the loop as far as Dr. Umar Johnson is concerned. This video here, so this was about like a month ago, I believe the date, 3 months ago. So I'm guessing this is from like one of his Instagram lives and uploaded to his YouTube channel. But you shared this with me, I believe so. I know you shared another one as well. I appreciate that. Like I said, I've been out of the loop with Dr. Umar Johnson. I don't follow the guy. I met the guy years ago, but I used to kind of follow him and review his stuff. And obviously, over time, I realized this guy is not mentally stable. But there's a market. He serves a market. The proud victimhood market is his market, and there's a lot of people, a lot of bandwagoners, and a lot of people who jump onto that. And he's kind of provided a somewhat safe haven for mixed race people per se. If they choose to be used and utilized as mules, then he has a place for them. And of course, we have hybrid in the house. Shout out to the Mulatto sphere.
Spartans! What is your profession?
That's what's up. So I'm going to get right into this video. So the title is Caucasian Infiltrated the Live. Now, the first like 2 minutes, as you can see here, looks like a Caucasian gentleman. He doesn't even look all the way Caucasian, like Anglo-Saxon. He's only showing half of his face, right? Let me get rid of this banner here so you guys can kind of see. He only kind of shows half of his face. I mean, he could be, Hoppa for all we know, to be honest with you. Doesn't look pure-blooded Anglo-Saxon, possibly could be, but who knows. But the rest of the people on this video are clearly not black. But Umar, oh shit, wants to claim them as black, right? Pro-blacks will pick and choose if they can use you. I guess where that YouTube premium comes into effect, you don't have these ads, but regardless, I can still get it on. Cool. All right, so we're all on track. I'm going to start this up now. Let's do this. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody watching, all you cloud watchers. If anybody, I have the stream, the link pinned in the chat. So if you want to jump up, go ahead. Unless you've been banned. This is a hyena-free platform. No hyenas. But if you're a decent, civilized person, doesn't matter, your ethnic extraction, you're more than welcome to join the panel. I invited actually somebody, but I got to kind of be better about that, shouting out my streams or my videos and inviting people. I mean, this is like this is an endeavor that I'm proud to be a part of. But, this is not my full-time job, right? I have a full-time and a part-time, and then, this is something that I'm happy to do on the side as well. Oh, shit. Somebody answered my calling. I got somebody here. I guess you can jump up on the stream. We got the Al Show. I think I wanted to add something because I know with you particularly, You were in a space. You were in a space that was dedicated to Umar Johnson.
Oh
But
yes,
when you listen,
yes,
when you listen to those people, all they do is fight and argue with other
right.
black people. They're not.
That
It, there's no
you
Pan
know,
African. There's no
you
Pan
know,
African unity.
right.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny you say that. When I came over to the biracial spaces, I had been around that space, right? That you talked about. That's one of the best encapsulations I've ever heard of that space. Because a lot of people don't know about the what used to be called the Umar Johnson sector. Now it's called the sector, I think, or the sector. And when I came to the biracial spaces, I did not talk about that space. And one of the reasons was what you just mentioned. And it's a kind of long, not a long story, but I had written a piece on Umar. I written a blog piece in 2020. And near the end of the year, I got invited. This is how I found out about the space. I got invited to be by someone who's in that space to be on their platform. So I got invited. I went up. I did the interview. It was good, perfectly good interview. I had never done YouTube before, so I was brand new to YouTube and everything. And what happened was, oh, are you still there? Or are you going? Hello.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yeah. Hello. Are you still okay? Because you disappeared from the screen, so I wasn't quite sure.
No,
Okay.
we both did. We're here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to make sure. That's okay. All right. Now that I know. Okay. So what happened is I went up and I did the interview. I guess I was critical of one of his supporters who happens to be in that space. They didn't like that. So yeah, a bunch of people or something like that. Like I was like, because they didn't know me, I didn't know them. And so I wound up on a panel and I had to go up and say, look, not true. And that's how I wound up around that space, because I wound up on some of these channels. I knew nothing about YouTube. I didn't know who these individuals were. So that's how I became familiar with it. And so by the time I got to the biracial spaces, I never wanted to talk about that. I never did. So I'm glad you brought it up, because I never wanted to talk about it.
Well, yeah, the cat's out the bag, because we've kind of seen, it's kind of a small world per se on the internet. There's millions of people who use the internet, but within the YouTube, as far as content creators and channels, etc., there's a lot of a lot of people connect with each other, right, through these different spheres and spaces. So it's kind of a small world per se when you kind of look at things from a larger lens. I'm going to get right into this. I kind of wanted to cover it as it pertains.
I just wanted, since you brought it up, I wanted to provide a little bit of context to that. That's why I didn't want to go into too much. But go ahead.
Well, the whole premise with Umar is that he likes biracials. He'll claim biracials if you only, acknowledge your black side so he can use you. So basically you're put in a position where you have to constantly prove your blackness to be used by their group, their benefit. So you don't even have your own identity. But let me get right into this.
People stepping up. You know what I mean? I appreciated him for being honest like that. I appreciated him for coming on and asking an honest question. I can appreciate that. Lovely Mimi going once, lovely Mimi going twice.
OMG, I am such a huge fan.
U.S. sweetie.
The first thing, this is a mulatto woman, biracial, whatever you like to say. She has a white mother, black father. We're going to see what she looks like. But the first thing I wanted to point out is this lady basically said, OMG, I'm a fan. So she's approaching him as if she's a fan. What's going on? Jay Sharp is in the house.
What is your profession?
So I've never understood the people that are attracted to Umar. Sorry.
She's a fan. She's a fan girl. She's a young
I don't know. I never understand that. Umar's a con artist and a liar. That's what he is. I mean, I'm just coming out, and I could say this because I not only wrote a piece about him, but I'm aware. I looked into him a little bit. Umar's a con artist and a liar. That's basically
it's a preacher. It's a preacher hustle.
You know what it is? But it's been modified to a professional hustle, because he has this, he's a clinical psychologist. So he's taking the structure of a motivational speaker. I wrote about this. He's performing
Yes,
It's
yes,
performative.
exactly.
He's basically a performer, and he's stolen from other people. That's what I noted, and that's what I said. If you look at his
Precisely.
rhetoric and you look at all that, Dr. Amos N. Wilson, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, what's his name? Steve Coakley, Khalid Muhammad, and a doctor by the name of Juwanza Kunjufu. Check all those people out. And that was my thesis in my article. I said, that's essentially what Umar has done, whether he wants to
Right.
admit it or not. He's inculcated all these elements from them, and he's turned it into his own con game, which I thought was,
Precisely.
which I call long con, right? Because of the school. But I won't get into school. But that's what he is.
No, precisely. Everything you said is completely accurate. What's going on, Sharp?
Mhm.
Sharp's here with us. I think he has his hands tied. He's making his money on work right now, but I believe he's working. But yeah, I'm gonna continue on right now.
I can't even see you. Where you at?
This is me.
So it kind of, well, it's gonna show her more as well. But you look at her, it's like, come on, man, you're not black like that. Go to Africa. They're not gonna. Well, the thing is, she called him a fan. She's like, I'm such a fan as you. You know, Umar has a hip hop manager. His manager, I guess you can say his publicist, is like a hip hop manager. I mean, this is a grift. And, you know, he appeals to the victimhood, uneducated crowd. The people who don't have education, the victimhood crowd, they look up to him, right?
You look fine, lovely. Get back on the stop being. Show that
Okay,
black
let
girl.
me set myself up. Okay, y'all.
Okay, y'all. And she's not from the South, but, you know, definitely heavy kind of Ebonics. We can tell there.
This is me.
I'll see. Where you at in the world?
I live in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Okay, Milwaukee. Okay.
Yeah.
Does someone have any background noise? Just gonna mute the mics here because I hear some background noise. Cool.
I was in Milwaukee.
When were you in Milwaukee?
Wait a minute. No, I was on a Milwaukee teleconference.
Milwaukee.
I wanted to address this comment hybrid. You know, basically what he's stating is that you have to date black and be absorbed in the blackness. That is 150% correct. You know, 110% correct. That's essentially the whole goal, the whole premise is they want to neutralize you to absorb you. Then you can get acceptance into blackness. Only then. You have
Well, what I
date.
would say about Umar, sorry about that. What I would say about Umar is, you had mentioned that he is pro-biracial to an extent. Well, he's pro-biracial woman. He's
Yes,
pro-biracial woman.
Yes, sir.
He's
Yes,
not
sir.
pro-biracial man. That's
Yes, sir.
very clear. So he likes the
That's very
ladies because he had a
He's
girlfriend
married
or
to one.
something that was mixed race. Oh,
You
he's
know, he's
married?
married.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Because
He
it's been a
has
while since I
2
looked into
wives.
him.
There's a picture that
Oh
surfaced.
yeah, when he that publicity stunt, that thing. Yeah, I know he did that at his that festival he held at his school. Yeah, but yeah, he likes biracial women just fine.
Of course.
Yeah,
Most
that
of the
was
pro-blacks.
what he did during the festival. Yeah, so
Even
he liked. Go ahead.
Professor Griff is another guy. Look at his wife. He marries a biracial woman, right? So that's very common. And I pointed this out on one of my streams. You look at his t-shirt, it's all revolutionary black power. He's got Khalid Muhammad, Frank Hampton, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X on his t-shirt, dark-skinned black man. Look at his wife. I mean, this is very common with these pro-black types, black, identity extremists, right? They can't seem to find a woman who matches them. They have to marry the mulatta aesthetic. The mulatta.
Oh yeah.
They prefer
and
biracial.
also, go ahead.
I was saying they prefer biracial women over their own women. Sharp, I think there's connection issues with you, Sharp. Are you? I'm trying to add you to the stream, but it looks like there's. All right, there you are. You're on camera though.
Oh shoot! Let me turn off my camera.
Yeah. What I was saying is they prefer the mulatta aesthetic. They prefer biracial women over their own women. We see that. Tariq Nasheed is married to a mulatta woman, and he's one of the most, vocal pro-blacks out there, right? His platform, his whole network. I can find a picture of her. I think her name is Peanuts, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've heard
This is his
that.
wife.
Yeah, I
She has
heard
a
that
white
with
mom.
Rashid.
She
Yeah,
has a white mom, black dad. So they marry mulatto women.
right.
Dr. Umar, Professor Griff, all these characters. So like you said, they
And
want the women, but the men,
right,
they look
they
at
want
us,
the women, right?
we're supposed to be subordinates, basically trying to fight to get acceptance into the community to prove our blackness, right?
The men are the
Well,
fighters too, right?
as you well know, the typical trope and the typical archetype has been that mixed race women there's a lane for mixed race women in the African American, Black American
Hello?
community, and they're
Like
often seen as what is that? They're often seen as, so they're valued by the guys. The guys want to be with biracial women, right? That's
even
not
over
really the
white.
same with biracial men. What the hell's going on? But it's not the same with biracial men, from what I've understood, because biracial men, from what I understand, some of what I've been told or some of what I've heard, they're not seen the same way biracial women are seen in Black communities, right?
Black
I
circles.
should say mulatto men or mulatto women, right? They're not seen the same way because they're not accepted by Black men. Generally considered mulatto biracial men to be the same as them.
Yeah, they gatekeep.
A number of them do not.
They
Yeah.
gatekeep
They do.
better than Black women. Black men gatekeep being a Black man better than Black women do, for sure. But go ahead, Hybrid. I want to hear what Hybrid's analysis is.
Oh, I forget. I think I was just saying something like, at least when it comes to stats, actually, believe it or not, Black men don't actually prefer white women at the top. It's actually second. They prefer their highest preference is for biracial women, black,
That is
white.
correct.
Then it's white, then it's black. It's like that.
That's correct. That's facts. You know what? And I want to tell you a story because I had a Black friend back when I was like in high school, 16, 17. And I was very closely connected to this guy. We were from the same area in Southern California. And I remember him telling me specifically, he's like, oh, the woman I want, we're teenagers. He was telling me his preference is biracial. I don't think he's ever dealt with mixed race women or biracial women, but he just by looking at the environment, seeing what he liked, he even told me, he's like, that's his number one preference. So I kind of known that even as a kid. I was like, oh, wait, they prefer the mulatta aesthetic more than any other female out there. That's why they go to Dominican Republic. They want the mulatto women. Yeah.
It's not even just actually just Black men that do that. A lot of actually white men go down to the south to get a wife or something. They look for the exotic, right? They're considered exotic, right?
Oh yeah.
When they talk about exotic, they're often talking about like that Brazilian look. That's what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
that isn't the thing that I'm aware of with biracial men, mulatto men. Like,
there's
I've
always
never
that
heard
male-to-male
that
competition,
generally
right?
heard. Right.
And
But I've never heard that
those
expressed the
threats,
same
those
way.
reinforcers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
I've
considered
never heard
the
it
threat.
expressed the same way.
We're intellectually, physically, we're considered the threat amongst different monoracial groups. So even comparing us, you look at with Black men and with white society, white men, I feel like a lot of white men look at us as more as a threat than they do like a Dr. Umar type. He's dark skinned because they know there's historically guys like Umar, his complexion, they just want a white guy, just a butt to kiss. They just want to dance for them and, get acceptance from them. Versus guys like us, they see mulattoes, are like, oh wait, this guy's a
Right.
threat. I've seen that
Yeah,
with white society.
Right. That's why they discriminated against us. That's
Right.
why they discriminated. That's why they had the one drop rule. They enforced the one drop rule. That's why you had the Racial Integrity Act in 1924. That's
Yeah.
why biracial men and women, well, especially biracial men, they were, the
We're a
only
threat.
way you could benefit in the society was largely to pass. That
The
was
thing
the
is,
basic way you could.
there's a historical account for that. We know in modern times with Barack Obama, with Colin Kaepernick, a lot of white men see there's animosity because they see Colin Kaepernick. He's throwing his own damn white family under the bus to basically cape for blacks. But historically, we see Hannibal. Historically, we see some of the soldiers in Haiti during the Haitian Revolution. So they analyze that and they've seen that there's been mulatto men that have led armies. Even the president of Guerrero, Vincent Guerrero in Mexico, the Mexican Revolution, he was an Afro-Mexican. He had Spanish and African descent, a mulatto guy. So they've
Even Nat Turner.
Right. Mixed race. He was biracial.
They've historically seen this militarily, that mulatto men have led armies and challenged white authority. So they look at us when we're in the workplace. I know just Sharp is in the military. They see us in these different environments and they look at us more as a threat than an Umar type. They know Umar, a dark-skinned guy like him, he just wants to dance and smile and chuckle and get white friends. They look at us like as competition. That's my personal analysis. What do you guys think?
Yes, you're right on that. And I want to elaborate on what you said about the mulatto man being a threat. When I was in basic training, this was back in 2015, before the Colin Kaepernick fiasco. I overheard a white drill sergeant tell like this Blasian drill sergeant that light-skinned men are taking over. And it is true because a lot of mulatto men, like I said, we've always rebelled against a white authority. Black men, they're more conformist, but with mulatto men, they view us as a threat because you can't deport us because we're Native Americans. We've been there since since the independence of the colonial states. So we have a long and shared alliance. My bad. A shared history, pretty much. My apologies. I'm working.
You're good. No, you're good, man. I'm going to continue on with the clip, you guys. And then, of course, everyone, we can kind of provide our commentary along the way. But let's get into this. This is very interesting because...
Got it.
Yeah.
And then I spoke in Milwaukee maybe 5 years ago. It's been a while. I got to get back to Milwaukee. I ain't spoken in Milwaukee in like 6 years. But I was on a Milwaukee teleconference not too long ago.
6 years. Yeah, I definitely would have seen that.
What's going on in Milwaukee? How the family
Milwaukee, it's crazy right now.
Why? What's up?
Okay. Well, you already know Milwaukee is one of the most segregated.
No, I spoke in Milwaukee on all.
She said you already know Milwaukee's one of the most segregated cities, but look at, she's got a white mom and a black father, but she speaks with heavy Ebonics. And I'm like, well, did she live in the white side? She's going to talk and say she went to a couple different schools, one white school and then one more kind of integrated school per se.
But I disagree with that because maybe the white mother, she was a poor white woman. Because poor whites, they do live with blacks. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Well,
she's right that it is segregated city. She's right about Milwaukee.
And she said, though, like when she gets around black people, she kind of turns it up a little bit, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's it. Might be that when she's with a white guy. That's what a lot of us do, right? Let's be honest. You're white, you might thought you want to speak the language of the people because that's how they know you understand them, that you're on the same, to be able to do that. And I think there's probably that. I bet you if you catch her with like white friends, she's not as, she doesn't have the accent as much.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
August the 21st of 2021, I was at the Jacob.
We've crash landed on an uncharted planet. There's something up there.
This is where the YouTube Premium comes into play. This right here.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah, I think eventually I'm going to have to get that. Being a content creator now, I'm going to have to kind of take these things seriously and purchase my subscription. Here we go.
But I wanted to mention something just about regarding the beginning. I mean, I don't like. I feel a lot of people don't like him a lot, and I can understand. But I don't. From the perspective of being towards his race, I don't see him as that bad towards his right. I think that he says, I don't think he's more. I think he's less of a scam artist and more of a just incompetent. I think it's more of like he really plans to do the schools and it just fell through and his calculations are not good. He ended up spending the money when he shouldn't. I think it's more of like just. I think it's more incompetence than it is a villainous.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's the explanation. See, that's the hype and the spin that I see people saying or hear people saying, and I see out there. Well, he's a bad businessman. He just doesn't know what he's doing. Well, he doesn't know what he's doing because he's a psychologist who's trying to open a school. A clinical psychologist should not be the head of a school. I mean, that's just clear. It should be an educator. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all your guys' points. What I'm going to say is he's less of a scam artist than Tariq Nasheed. but pretty much all of these guys are scam artists. Like I said, I think Dr.
Right.
Umar, he likes being black. I do. I think he does like
I think,
being
yeah, he
black.
sounds pro-black and he loves his people. That's what I think. He sounds like he loves
And
his
I
people.
agree with, and I like that about him. But what I don't like about him is he wants to use mulattoes and biracials to fit his
Yeah.
agenda. That's where the issue, that's what we're going to talk about right here. So let me continue on.
Yes.
Memorial of his shooting.
Yeah.
And then that night, which is my birthday, August 21st.
Are you serious?
August 21st, 2020.
Wow.
Last year.
Man, I missed that.
So what's going on in Milwaukee? What kind of
What's happening? We've been the most segregated city for a minute.
Okay.
We got
So
like
all
islands.
blacks on one side, all the whites on another side.
It's so segregated. So segregated. We got all the different races got their own spots, own gangs. It's terrible. We have a new thing called Kia Boys.
Okay, what's the Chia Boys?
So the Kia Boys, they like take everybody's car and just like.
Mm-hmm.
You want to guess what demographic the Kia Boys are?
White. I'm just kidding. Black, of course.
I mean, in Milwaukee, they're saying they're taking everyone's cars, right? Kia Brothers in Milwaukee. Let's see what they look like. Let me pull up a Google search. This is hilarious. She's saying that's a problem. She's saying, oh, it's a problem. We got the Kia Boys. Is it white people that are doing this criminal crime? Or is it the people that you're butt kissing and caping for? These are the Kia.
Notice this is why I say Umar is clearly a con artist, right? And also you can see how his formula works, right? It's all about marketing. What Umar is essentially a marketer, right? He's a promoter and a marketer. So notice when she started, what did he say? What did he start out with?
Called her
you're from Milwaukee. Oh, I was there. Or no, I was on a teleconference. And then when he answered the question and then she started answering it, guess what he cut in with? I spoke at this place on this occasion. Marketing.
Right.
Advertising. Yeah. That's part of his grift. That's part of his hustle. It's part of his con, his long-term con. So watch this guy. When I say he's a con artist and a liar, not the lying part, but the con artist. Look at the formula here. You just saw one part of the formula.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. He's always going to plug in. He's going to be like, I'm going to go back to your city and speak in, the next year and all this stuff. He's like going on tour. He's like a hip hop artist, but he goes on tours to give speeches. And
that's
I was
a part
an idiot.
of the con. That's a part of the con.
I think it was like
it's the Umar tour. I call it the Umar show or the Umar tour. Go ahead.
I think I paid like $10-15 or something to hear him speak. I met the man. He's he's good at public speaking, motivational speaking per se. But this was back in 2016 when I met him. So obviously that's like, 7 years ago, right? Or yeah. So it's been a while.
He's like the Rolling Stones. He's like the Rolling Stones. He's always on tour. That's how he makes his money.
Yeah.
That and selling his BS books, his self-published books.
Yeah.
That's how he makes money.
The thing is, I'm not this here. I mean, I know the thumbnail is kind of tacky. I'm kind of mocking him and laughing at him, but I'm not here to personally, call him a scam artist and throw him under the bus and all that. I like the fact that he's pro-black and he likes being black. I like that. What I'm here to do is I'm here to critique his angle as it pertains to mulatto people and how he wants to use us to serve his pro-black agenda. Okay, that's one of the main purposes why I'm here today. Everybody, it's public knowledge that people know this guy's scamming people, right? So it's like, it's kind of redundant, I guess, to continue to harp on it, that we know that this guy is,
Well, yeah, that's why I went into the specifics. That's why I said, okay, notice this and that.
I see the formula. Yeah, he's got like a hip hop manager or something. So it's all marketing. Yeah, for sure. But he's talking to this mulatto woman. And of course, she's a virtue signaler. She wants to serve the community, find purpose. And you come to find out with a lot of these mulattoes, especially her, white people didn't treat her ass that bad. So I'm sitting there like, why do you jump all the way to the black side when it's like, they act like white people were so bad. She's got a white mom. And I'm sitting there like, wait a second. there's something else going on here. She's young, but let's continue on.
Tear it up, like so many people, and it's terrible. Our city's hurting really badly.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. I need a school out there. I need to get one of them schools. Frederick Douglass
because if you know anything about Milwaukee public schools, they're primarily just for the whites. And when I started to integrate these schools, that's when the suburbs started to form, and that's when they decided that they're gonna put up all this funding, because MPS used to be amazing. MPS used to be one of the greatest school systems in Wisconsin.
Are you a product of MPS?
No.
You went to private school.
I went to a school in the suburbs. I go to Whitnall School. It's right outside of Milwaukee.
Okay.
Pius, which is a Catholic school.
Got you.
But that I know all of this is because my father, a Black man, was. Oh, okay. My father was a Black man who was Milwaukee County supervisor.
Your father was the Milwaukee County supervisor. That's what's up.
Yeah, so I've been around politics my whole life, so I don't know, but
I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I know you can handle it. I'm gonna put you on the spot, but I know you can handle it.
Yeah.
Daddy Black, Mama White, right?
Yes, Dr.
Okay. So that means you still one of us. In my book, you still one of us.
Yes, thank you. A lot of people I see it in the comments a lot.
Can you pause it for a second?
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster with Wix?
Yep.
There's also a perception, in a sense, almost like that they're also passing down the daughters to other Black men. It's almost like because it's their offspring and they feel like they want to keep it in Black. And I feel sometimes even the fathers teach them to date Black, like from a young age, right?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I've heard some stories about that as well. That they try to do that. They try to pass them on to the Black society, the Black men particularly, to prove their Blackness per se, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the idea is that because they created them, they're theirs.
Well, like I said, there's a right. Yeah, what I've noticed is this. This is what I've noticed. There is a lane and a space for mixed race, mulatta, biracial women in Black American or African American communities that doesn't exist for mulatto, mixed race, biracial men in those communities. So there's no real space for the men in those communities who are in those communities. You have to pretty much create your space if you're going to be in those communities. Whereas there's already kind of a lane and a space that exists because you have guys that are they're looked upon by some people in those communities very positively. Not everybody. There's a lot. There can be criticism and so forth. But like I said, there's a space for them, and there isn't really a space for mixed race men. That doesn't exist. So that's what I've noticed. Some people might question that or disagree with me on that, but that's what I've observed. It as an outside observer, that's what I've observed. And so it's very different. It's very different. And thus I'm not surprised by her kind of concern, but I'm going, well, if your dad was a Milwaukee County supervisor and you've been around politics, how come you're talking to Umar? Just my take on that.
That is an excellent point. That is an excellent point. Why is Umar the authority here? Right, exactly. He's basically the preacher hustle, the pro-Black hustle now is basically the preacher hustle, selling hope. They sell hope to the community, and it's very interesting.
Now, here's what I notice in regards to biracial people. So let me just address a part of the formula that deals with biracial people with Umar. What he will do is reinforce the one drop rule. The problem with Umar is in regards to biracial people, he is essentially an advocate of the one drop rule. He is promulgator and progenitor of. Of course, he'll try to use word salad, and he'll try to talk his way around that for some extent. But when what he said to this woman is, "Oh well, your dad is black and your mom's white, but you're still one of us." That's one drop reinforcement right then and there. That's one drop there. And so when it comes to biracial people, yeah, the way he did it, of course, was actually a little bit smooth. Not entirely, but a little bit smooth, right? Because it's a positive reinforcement, right? Oh yeah, you're still one of us. You're one of one of the crowd. You're part of it.
Get in the crab bucket. You're still one of us. Get in the crab bucket, crab barrel, so you could be used. Interesting thing is that they always draw the distinction and say mixed race or light skin. They always draw that distinction, but conveniently say, well, you're just black. You're just like the rest of us. But you're going to be a minority in their group. You're going to be a minority in their group. So we're in a society where the majority rules. So you're going to be at their will to serve. But yeah.
That's why it's a catch-22.
Go ahead, Hybrid.
I think part of his justification is that he believes that we're just not a people, that we're not enough, we don't sustain. And so there's like, well, if they're not here, they're going to go there. The way that they're thinking, if you're not black, then you're on team white. Even if we say we're mulatto, they're going to say, no, we're on team. They're going to still put that on team white. And so what they're doing here is they'd rather have them, help them than be on the other side. I think that's that's part of the motivation too. So he in terms of his race, that's what I think that's where that's coming from. He'd rather he does like Kirkpatrick, or what's his name? He likes that kind of kiss ass. If you're gonna do that much, like
Kaepernick, you mean?
Yeah, he likes that. Like he promotes that. Yeah, sure. He promotes that we should speak and see our parents that way too, our white parents.
We should be against or challenge our white parents for him.
Yeah,
to make him feel good.
Yeah.
No, but I agree what you said. He's publicly said that as well. He's publicly said, and there's other, mulattoes here. I think DC, the lady who shared this video with me, she's publicly even told me too. Like, yeah, he's said this on a public speech. Basically, if blacks can't use us, then the whites are. So his whole position is, let's get these biracials so we can use them to serve us, or else whites. Yeah, like you said, they don't feel like we should be our own group. They look at it as a binary. They look through this binary lens of black and white. When they don't,
as a threat, because he believes historically that the black people fell because of mulattoes. He believes it's all based on mulattoes, that mulatto have always been the problem in black. He believes a lot of that stuff, that book.
Yeah, it's a Chancellor Williams. Yeah, black nationalism. Yeah, at the top of all of that black nationalism, they look at mulattoes as a bigger threat than white people. And people don't, I'm serious. So it's that concept with keep your enemies close and keep your, friends closer, right? Something of that nature.
Right, because it's the talk of the buffer class that you hear when they say mulatto, biracial, mixed race are a quote or are a buffer class.
Yeah, they still say that today.
That's insulting terms. Yeah. And that's meant to say, since they are a different people and a separate people, they're meant to be distinguished and different from African peoples or African. But they don't understand that in most other countries, if you're mixed race, you are not considered monoracial at all. They don't play those games. You may have people who think along the lines of one drop, but they don't do that. You are métis, as the French would say, or you are pardo, as they would say in Brazil, or you are colored, as they would say in South Africa. I know that's not a great term, but they understand in different countries. You can't have mixed race people considered the same as monoracial people. Well,
Al, do you think that's because of like the fact that there's higher numbers maybe of mixed people? Like let's say there was only like 3 biracials in the world. What would they do? Would they have a group, or would they? Let's say there was only like 4 biracials in the whole world. Where would they go?
Oh, well,
I'm saying
if there were a minor
really
amount,
low numbers,
it would really depend on.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it would really depend.
Once you get big, it then becomes a problem.
No, it would. Well, here's the thing. It would really depend on if we're saying if you have the population that we have in the world as is, but there were only 3 or 4 mixed race people, right? Where would they go? Well, more than likely, they would have to fit under the umbrella of some group, which is not unlike what happens in the U.S. today, still, to an extent. They would have to try to probably fit under umbrella of a group if they wanted to, probably gain some benefit.
And
or
I think that better explains it, at least the origins of it. But the problem is when we start becoming a certain critical mass that we don't, right? We're our own people and we're distinct, and that's when we start to, right? We start to be like it. So that's
right.
I think
Well, right. Well, that
was
was why in the U.S. you had a mulatto category. If it was just 3 or 4 people, the census would not have put up a mulatto category.
Exactly.
Right. It was there were enough numbers that you could have places like the Brown Society created in South Carolina, and that you had people in New Orleans that basically functioned as a community. You can't do that without enough numbers, right?
And I think he fears that. That's the fear, because they believe historically, whenever we do become a critical mass, we do separate, and that they believe it's to their advantage, because we end up, at least historically, it seems that we tend to usually do better generally in society, and they believe that we're actually created by, we're actually a plot by white people to prevent black people from getting up. That they create us. We don't have any, of course, autonomy. We're just being created to create a block so it prevents the black people from going up, rather than saying, hey, maybe that's just about, we tend to perform at that level. It's more of like, it's that we're a conspiracy. We're meant to, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that we're not even our own people. We don't have autonomy. That there's a conspiracy that, like you said, that we're created to prevent them from, elevating in society. But literally, we're, partially European. Maybe just we can, not maybe, but for sure, historically, we can navigate better in those circles. We can coordinate and work with European people in, like, even today, like the guy, I was, even today, I had a story about that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know what else there to say. I'm going to continue on with the clip. Yeah.
But
you can't let that get to you. You have to know who you are. You feel me?
Let me see.
I don't know, but
I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I know you can handle it. I'm gonna put you on the spot, but I know you can handle it.
Yeah.
Daddy black, mama white, right?
Yes, Dr.
Okay. So that means you still one of us. In my book, you
hear that? Your daddy's black, your mama's white, but that means you're still one of us. That she belongs to his group, according to him, according to this guy here, right?
Still one of
us.
Thank
you.
Interesting. Yeah.
A lot of people try to.
And she said, "Yes, thank you." Like, yes, I want to be a part of that group. I want to belong somewhere, right?
In the comics,
they also have that held in front of their face, though, that if they don't act like that, they're going to get their blackness revoked, right?
Their black card
sometimes. And they feel like, and they believe too, well, we don't have a community, so we're kind of stuck. If like they don't want to let their black card get revoked, so they start to kiss ass, and they end up like that.
Yeah. You see a lot of these mulattos in that category. Unfortunately, that's what my channel is basically let people know. Like, you don't have to kiss ass and feel stuck,
You
can't let that get to you. You have to know who you are. You feel me? You don't let nobody else define you. You got to walk in the room and you got.
He said, you don't have to let anyone else define you. But the funny thing is he's trying to define her, saying, well, you're just black anyways. I'm claiming you,
I would say it's not even a description. It's a description.
You walk in.
You look at her, she clearly looks like a mulatta, right?
Yeah, she even looks more white than black on average. Like
exactly.
With her straight hair.
That's the thing I was saying to myself too. She looks more white passing per se. She looks more European presenting than black, right? Yeah.
Here, and you let them know.
Yes.
It's like you. If you ain't cool with that, I'll keep my distance. But you respect me as a black woman. It's up to you to make that clear.
It's up to her. All the work is on her, is what I want to point out to you guys. All the work, the advocacy, the fighting is on the mulattoes, not to the blacks. Blacks don't have to do nothing. Black people, his audience, his primary audience, they don't have to check themselves. All the work is on her. She's got to be the one. I mean, that is too much work for me, because like I said, for me as a man, I hear some background noise. I don't know who's microphone that is, but I hear background noise. But the thing is, all the work is going to have to be on you to do all the work. So the typical dark-skinned black person could just sit around and smoke blunts and play Xbox, but you, the light-skinned mulatto, you got to prove yourself to them to get acceptance from them. He's always framed the discussion like that. You got to know who you are. You got to do this. No, and you're the minority within that group. So you're always going to be in a subordinate position. It's never going to be good enough. That's the whole key, is they want to keep you as a mule, a subordinate. So you're always going to have to be fighting. You got people like Michi X. I don't know how old that lady is. I can't stand her. I can't listen to her. She's too ghetto and ratchet. She's probably in her 40s. It sounds like it. But she's, like I said, going to be in her 40s and 50s. They're going to continue to fight for the community forever. Forever. It's never going to be good enough, right? The goalpost is going to be moved to get acceptance. I'm not in that position. So
yes,
I turned in my black card. I cashed in my black card and it was worth, 3 pennies. So I'm good. I don't know who the hell is going to come to me and tell me otherwise. I have the link in the chat, so feel free.
Yes. And it's like, I will, as a light-skinned individual, I will never understand what it means to be.
Well, she is not technically just necessarily a light-skinned individual. She's literally was birthed through the womb of a European white woman. That is part of her birthright, her heritage. She should proudly claim. So it's not just light skin per se. I'm looking at her hair, her phenotype, her facial symmetry. She looks more European than African. Okay. So she's not just purely light skinned. She's literally probably over 50% European. Let's be real, guys.
A dark skinned woman, and I will never have to go through some of the experiences that they have went through. But is that I can use it, and right. I can try to, because people will. Somebody darker than me could say the same thing. Ghetto. But if I say I can get my message.
Yeah, she has like the ghetto ebonics to fit in. And you notice Umar doesn't really talk. It's a turnoff for a mulatto woman to talk like that. Yeah. That's why I hate Michi X. I don't listen to her. I can't stand her. I can't stand like the multifacial movement syndrome where they talk all ghetto and nasty. It's disgusting. It's a turnoff. Just talk like a normal civilized individual.
Yeah. They're trying to do the whole black scent.
They overcompensate the black scent.
Oh yeah. Ebonics. Oh man. That's really insulting to African American people, I feel.
Yeah, because Umar doesn't talk like that. Yeah. Because even Umar doesn't really talk like that. He has a pretty good sense and of the English language. He commands. He's university trained. Yeah. So he can command the English language he's articulate. That's what I like. He's a good speaker.
Articulate. So he is articulate enough. Yeah, he is. I will say that much.
Compared to Michi X is despicable. Michi X is disgusting.
Oh, yeah. I saw her.
Multiracial movement.
I don't know how many years ago. Yeah, I saw her a couple of years ago. I didn't know much about her, and I just thought she was so loud and it was embarrassing. And I heard she was biracial, and I was just I was appalled by it was like a performance or something. Oh yeah, I don't care for that. I'm sorry.
They don't talk. They talk with a yell, like they're yelling when they're talking. They don't actually just talk, like their voice is always raised.
I mean, it was like she was trying to fit some kind of stereotype or something. That's why I say this kind of behavior from biracial people, mulatto people, I don't care for it because I think it's insulting to black people. Because it's like you're trying to copy them and you're trying to imitate them. And and when people of other ethnicities and background trying to do it, it's insulting as well. I think that's insulting as well. I think it's insulting when mulatto people do it, when biracial people do it. Personally, that's what I think.
No, I agree. I want to read this.
And that's why when I've gone on panels with black people, I don't talk that way. I've never talked.
No, you talk. Yeah, you talk normal. Yeah. I want to read this comment because I mentioned this earlier. DC, she's saying Umar was in another video saying we need to be more accepting of so-called biracials into revolutionary circle, because if they don't, the enemy will recruit us into their army. Exactly. And I know what you're talking about because I've seen that clip before. So I've known this for a few years, that guys like Umar literally are on public record like, look, we got to bring these mulattoes in, because if we don't, then the white people are going to recruit us against them. And he referenced Obama. I heard that clip. He basically said, oh, well, these people are going to turn into another Obama, like a chameleon. So like they look at us as a utilitarian group. We're not even our own personal, like we don't have autonomy or sovereignty as a group, that we're just going to be used by either whites or blacks. Or he only wants to tolerate us so we don't join whites to screw blacks. Exactly. Yeah. We're there to be used. Now he wants the women more so because he caters to single mothers. That's part of his grift, you know. And the men, basically, we got to just fight and serve to prove our blackness. But like you said, I feel like black men do a better job at gatekeeping being a black man versus black women. I feel like there's more room, like with the whole fiasco with kind of Kamala Harris. Let me see. It says mulatto people are the only demographic that has had our racial identity denied to us since 1924. Exactly. Umar will tell us, it's not your fault how you got here, as if we are a result of a union that was not so terrible. Yeah, they look at us as a threat.
Yes,
I shared a video.
You notice?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just to say, you notice how he sneaks those things in and what he says, right? Like it's always, he's trying to curry favor with a degree of biracial people.
Yeah,
he's trying to curry favor.
It goes both ways. Black supremacists like Dr. Umar look at mulattoes as more of a threat than white people. The same way there's white people who look at mulattoes as more of a threat than black people, because they know most of these blacks are going to stay in their place and try to get acceptance from whites. So they look at us as a threat. We get it from both sides. I'm just calling a spade. And over time, as I become better at this, I'm going to be able to present the information so where people can really see that. I'm going to continue on though.
And I just want to help my community because it's hurting so bad in Milwaukee.
I feel you. Now let me ask you this.
Yes.
What is?
She is hurting her community. We are her community.
And the thing is, though, Hybrid, is I don't think she knows that there's something out here for her. I feel like we're in our infancy stage right now. A lot of people like her. I'm trying to reach people like her. They don't know that we have a place for you. This is where you belong. And so I feel like that's where this situation, this is how this occurs, is she doesn't feel like she has that other option. That's why I coin it the third option. I know Sharp would say the only option, etc. The first option, which I agree with, but I like the coin the term the third option, which Hybrid you've used as well, because people like her, many people think, well, I got to choose white. White doesn't like me by default. I choose black. And it's like, look, just be a mulatta. Like there's other people. I shared a video of Jasmine over on TikTok and Instagram. She's got a large following, a young lady. She's accepted who she is as a mulatta. There's a lot of others, I'm telling you, coming of age, they will too. They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. With the climate we're in America, you don't have a choice.
Mixed race black sisters such as yourself,
mm-hmm.
that you want.
It's funny. He said mixed race black sisters. If they were black sisters, he wouldn't use mixed race in front of that. You see how the irony of that? He wouldn't say mixed race. He would just say black sisters. But he's saying mixed race to let you know she's not like the rest of them. And we know that. She hasn't figured it out yet. She hasn't had her mulatta wake-up call yet, unfortunately.
To dispel on here right now. What is something that we often assume about mixed race sisters that is not true? Well, give me a stereotype that you want to explode right now. People often assume about you because your mother's white, your father's black. What do they assume? That's not true.
That's a good one, because I don't know. I feel like none of it is really comparable. Like this stuff is never like a stereotype. It doesn't really bother me.
You think you better than black people who are not mixed. That's one stereotype.
That's one for sure. that I'm not really in tune with myself, that I try to
Now, they say that she's not in tune with herself. Who do you think tells her that? Black women. Black women are the ones who are going to tell her she's not in tune with herself. Who do you think tells her, tries to bully on her, pick on her? Because she's got a white mom.
It's, to me, it sounds like something they're trying to get her to prove her blackness. Basically, you're not black enough. You're not identifying with us enough. You're still kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Well, still kind of being white. Yeah, it's one of the ways to kind of, it's a pressure tactic, and they get gaslit. They don't understand. Like, even me, like, I didn't realize it when I was younger, but there was always this invisible bias that I wasn't even within the black population. You don't notice it. People might attack you. You don't even know why you're being attacked, but it's because it might be because she's biracial, but they won't say that that's the reason.
Oh yeah. I mean, I figured it out in the workplace, in the working environment, working with a lot of black men and black women. I started to realize it. I was like, okay, I see the game here. And of course, they turn around and kiss, white people's asses, but then they look at you. They're like, well, you got to prove you're down. I'm like, okay, I see the game. I was smart enough to realize. Let me continue on.
Try to I have a facade, which is so true though. It's so true. Like code switching, it depends on who I'm around. I feel like
the irony.
Be a type of
told you
way, but it will never be anything compared to what somebody darker than me would have to go through.
Okay, and now let me ask you on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
How is your experience with white people? Is it any better? Because I think sometimes we assume that the light-skinned blacks or the mixed race blacks have it easier amongst white people. Is that necessarily true? Do you still experience?
And I'm going to say from my personal experience, it's not true. And I've already stated that earlier on this stream, that a lot of white people will test us because they look at us as a threat. They're like, wait, I can tell you there's a historical reference for this, for mulatto people. For me as a man, so I'm dealing with white men, I've seen them be, like I said, Sharp has already explained this too, where the darker skinned blacks, they know that they just want to kiss their butt and smile and be cool and dance for them, shuck and jive. They look at us, they're like, oh wait, this guy wants to try to prove himself on us, So, hey man, I've seen this too many times,
Yeah, all right. If we look at it from another racist perspective, though, shouldn't there be a bit of, isn't it natural that people would be a little bit confused think of it, because when we're presented to them, they don't really know which side we're on, right? You're kind of getting this half and half, and I think there is a confusion where it's like and it's on both sides. I've had white people kind of do that too. It's kind of, again, you almost have to do something that's to really prove you're on. It's like it, right? Or they'll kind of, but do you think that's just natural that you would kind of be unsure? You'd want some kind of verification because of the fact you don't know where, it's unknown. They don't know if it's on my side or you're my enemy. They just don't know until we. We do that?
Well, I didn't. Well, I could just say from my experience, I didn't grow up in either a black neighborhood or white neighborhood or anything like that. So it didn't matter to me really what either side thought, to be honest. I wasn't really conscious of that from my perspective. And so I never had to prove anything or try to. And so that aspect of approval and validation is alien to me personally. I'm just speaking my experience. It's alien to me because I don't know how to do that. I really don't.
It's not natural.
So that's something I really, it isn't. No, you're right. It's not natural.
It's inhuman.
But it's something a number of biracial people go through. And that's part of what's tough about being biracial, mulatto, and mixed race in America. That's the hard part. It's this damn idea that you have to fit and you have to act this way and you have to behave this way and in modes of behavior and modes of thought and so forth. You don't. At the end of the day, you don't. All you have to do is be mulatto, be mixed race, be biracial. That means being everything, not just one thing. That's my take.
Yeah, it's embracing your dual heritage, European and African. No, you're absolutely right. It never felt normal for me if I'm in white or black spaces to try to fit in and try to prove and all this stuff. I'm in my early 30s, millennial. That's why I'm in a position I am now to publicly speak about this. It's never felt normal. I just never accepted that, And I was, so, yeah.
It's racism.
Oh, when I tell you, I have had people tell me that we should go back to the slaves days and I should be picking cotton. I
And she looks like she'd be the type of person that would be on the porch drinking tea, watching people like Umar pick the cotton. I mean, I'm just calling it 100 because she looks more European than African. So, you know.
So I still
She'd
go
be a
through those
concubine.
same experiences, but it's
Yeah.
it's not to that extreme, and I do get it off easier, way more.
See that? She acknowledges her privilege. Now the darker skinned black people can use her ass.
Yeah, to come after us. Sorry,
to come after us. Like Amici X. Exactly. She acknowledges
it's what
privilege.
I would call right. It's what I call mixed race guilt.
Yes.
Mixed race. Yeah. So it's all go times that actual monoracial people who are non-white go through, right? So I don't go through that, but you know, they're going, and that guilt complex bothers a number of mixed race people and biracial people and multiracial people because they feel like they want to be part of a community, but they know they'll never entirely be part of a community, and that gets into mixed race guilt. And so that's very powerful. That's one of the aspects that you have to understand when you're dealing with biracial people who reject actually the status of being biracial or being who they are. Some of them are going through what you would call this mixed race guilt. And so for them to fit in, you know, they want to do stuff. That's why she clearly has mixed race guilt, says we need to help the community, we want to help out the community, want to do stuff for the community, right? And that's a component of that. And that's hard to deal with when you're dealing with biracial people like her.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to read this comment. Okay, DC makes an excellent point. Thank you, DC. I appreciate it. She says, so he said, meaning Umar, in a Memphis speech, we don't want to claim black all day, but there's plenty of blacks who would be upset if we did and erase them. Exactly. So it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like a catch-22. If we claim black all day, they're going to be like, well, you got privilege, you're light skinned, you got a white mom. So Hollywood, white people prefer you. You're erasing us. Hollywood likes you like Zoe Kravitz. That's privilege. All the dark skinned people like Flower Tower and all the other people, they cry and complain all day. But at the same time, if we don't claim black all day, like they're saying, well, we hate being black. We don't want to claim black. So look, when you're in these situations, you're communicating with these people, you can't win. We have to create our own spaces to network, to navigate. I'm doing good. I like what I got right now. I like the people on this panel. I like this dialogue, this discussion. This is amongst us. This is our group. People can say what they want. Nothing's perfect, but believe me, it's going to grow every day as we continue on. I'm going to continue on with the video. I want to get through this.
Mush mouth free.
Well, and the thing is, we're all college educated. We got a man here, Sharp is in the military, pursuing engineering. You yourself have university level philosophy, Al, journalist background. I have a communication background. We're all university level trained people. This is the type of people I want on this channel.
College, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
One thing.
That's I guess that shows you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people off the street on my channel, like multiracial and Golden Goddess. They have ghetto people, you know, would be off the street. They could barely speak English. They want them on their channel speaking. Right. They don't represent me.
Oh,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing that I did learn
They don't have degrees, they have bachelors.
Yeah. I went to my predominantly white school, I was treated like I had to be held to a certain standard that other people didn't have to.
And she doesn't specify too what that is. It's very it's not specific. She's like, she was held to a higher standard than other people at her predominantly white school. Like, just perform. Your grades speak for themselves. You're at a fucking school. You get an A. Nobody can take that A away from you. You academically outperform them. The educational system.
Yeah. My bad. Go on. Sorry.
Oh, no, but she's saying she felt like she was held to a higher standard amongst her white peers.
I think that's respectful, though, because if you're held to a high standard, then that means that these people actually respect you, because let's say you're monoracial black, they're going to hold you to very low standards. So being held to a high standard is actually respectful. Like it's like Asian kids failing in high school. You never hear of that. You'll be disappointed in an Asian kid. You'll be disappointed in, let's say, an Asian named Zhang if he failed science, because we expect him to get an A in science and to be on top of the class, and that's respect. So it's not disrespectful being held to a higher standard, but it's disrespectful being held to a double standard. That's what she needs to get to, and that's what she has to address.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of odd. You know, I could say when I was in high school, I had a couple AP classes when I was in high school. And so when you're in AP classes, that is a higher standard, you know, and I didn't have an issue with the fact that was a higher standard, you know. And so I don't know. Again, it seems in her case, she went to a private parochial school. And of course, you're in a private school, you're going to have standards that are different probably from substandard public schools or some even modest public school, right?
Yeah. Well,
so
I'm going to cut in.
This is the mixed race guilt at work.
Yeah, it's mixed race guilt. I'm going to cut in again because, like you said, mixed race guilt. Basically, she's trying to be guilty and act like there's an issue at the school to fit in, to have that victim mentality, to be like, look, white people held me to a high standard. You know, I'm a victim just like darker skinned people. I can fit into your group because, look, even though I have a white mom and I was in a white school, white neighborhood, they didn't treat me right. I was held to a standard. Feel sorry for me. So I want to be in your group and I'll use my light skin privilege to help you guys out. I mean, I don't want mulatto people to feel like they're in that position because it stunts your growth. It stunts your it stunts you from growing, from from developing a community, from connecting, from being yourself fully, right? You're kind of holding yourself back to serve others. It just doesn't make sense in 2023.
No,
compete for
you
respect.
you can't think that way.
And I still have
You
to
always
constantly
have to
compete
move
for my
forward.
respect. But what I did notice is when I went to a school that was more diverse, had more Black people, then like I was let off the hook. Then it's I can
She was let off the hook. It means she got that mulatta privilege, I guess you can, or light skin privilege, if you want to put it that way. Where let's continue on.
Do some things that they wouldn't be able to get away with, or we would do the same things, but they would get a harsher punishment.
That's that privilege, right?
And I would get let off with a slap on the hand, and that's not fair.
Well, my last question for you. Thank you for being so honest, because I think you're educating a lot of people with this princess. Your mother being
He calls her a princess. You guys catch that? Thurston.
a white woman. Do you sometimes have trouble helping her understand what it's like to be a Black woman? Like, does she sometimes not get it, and why do you think?
She doesn't look like a Black woman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole world. I'm telling you, in a majority Black nation, you go to West Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, majority Black nation where Black people make the rules, because in America, Black people do not make the rules in America. I know Umar thinks he's the prince of Popeye's chicken. He thinks he's the top dog, the #1 requested preacher. He doesn't make the rules. You go to a majority Black nation like Ghana, which I have been, they make the rules there. Majority wins, minority loses. And I'm telling you right now, a lady that looks like her, majority of the population would not say she's Black. So let's continue on.
For sure, 100%. My mom is a very interesting person because she used to be a police officer. Then she was like, nope, this is not for me. And then she went to work at a nonprofit to try to get to the root of the problem. And she became a mentor for underprivileged youth in the inner city of Milwaukee. But she will never have my experiences. She will never be able to fully relate to what I'm going through. And sometimes I go like, Mom, you can't say that. Mom, you can't do that. Mom, you don't. Like, kids used to tell me that I had dog hair. And she's like, don't let it get to you. But like, Mom, like, how can I not let it get to me? It's everybody, and everybody's laughing. Like, Mom, you don't get it.
Can I say something here? As a critical thinker, never accept somebody trying to create this. You can't get it because you're not that person, because the whole point of doing that is so that they can have an epistemological privilege over you, where you can't even challenge or speak on what they're saying about you. They can say, well, you're racist, and then, well, you don't understand. That's never do there must be a way that the other person can also test some kind of like a measure so they can know they're not being gypped or being just taken for a ride. Or if they don't have that, then they should be ignored. If anybody tries that, never fall for that completely. You have then tell them to let me understand, tell me about it, let me feel it. Don't just take that because people take advantage of that. I think FIT does that too. They pull like the women and try to just. I get it. There are differences, but it's not like that. We can connect on a human level and understand how it's not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, people taking advantage of her in that position. She seems like she's in a very vulnerable, kind of unfortunate position, and she's looking for leadership. That's why the first thing she said was, "I'm a fan." She's a fan of Dr. Umar. Like, yeah, go ahead.
She was victim leveraging her mom. I call that a victim leverage. That's a victim leverage tactic where you say, well, you don't, we're oppressed, therefore you don't understand the experience. And they use that to kind of talk over you. And she was using that against her own mom, is what I'm trying to say. Black people use it with us. Yeah. Dark skin people will say that too. Oh, you don't understand because you have a light skin. They'll do that so they can just say whatever. You just have to listen and just, whatever they say, there's no way you can challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or we could just outright ignore them at this point because it's a circular conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the position I'm in right now. Yeah, it's the conversation has already been had thousands of times. It's not going anywhere. We just have to accept. Go ahead.
My bad. I wish that Dr. Umar would interview one of us because how come he never interviews mulatto men, but he has his way with our women. Like he'll say mulattoes have to do this and that, but how come he doesn't address one of us and have a direct argument or debate at least?
The thing is,
because he will shy away. He will shy away, and he'd fold up immediately.
Yeah. He did that when that light skinned dude said he did that. He started showing his ass. It was basically clowning him because he's light skinned and not a real black. So he's already been exposed. The thing is, this woman voluntarily called in. A lot of these mulattoes out here are lost. They don't feel like they have another option.
We're being exploited.
Yeah, but they voluntarily called in. So it's not like Umar's going around looking for mulatto, light-skinned women and all this stuff. So you can't really put it on him like that. These women are voluntarily going to him. First thing she said was she's a fan of him. I mean, Umar's got a fan. Look at this mulatto woman, looks like a white woman. Literally a fan. I mean, you see him over in the Umar sector, which Al is in. You got literally damn white passing women looking, like Lena Horne.
Well,
they're talking all
which
ghetto.
I was around, no longer in, but yeah. Well, you have a couple of in that sector. I don't know if they still call it the Umar Johnson sector. I think they call it the sector. In that place, they've had. It's weird, but I was hearing somebody had told me, and that's why I warned the spaces about that. What was going on there? I was warned that there were people that were basically anti-biracial there that were like bashing because you only have like maybe a couple of biracial people in that space. It's largely black, but they were like bashing and they resented a couple of the biracial women that were there.
And they stick around like idiots. They stick around like idiots trying to get acceptance.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't get. That's the thing I don't get. It's like the resentment has come out because you have a guy. Yeah, I mean, it's what's come out there. That's why, I mean, now I see, the issues that I had with people. Before it wasn't evident, but now I go, they probably didn't like me. I didn't care they didn't like me, but now I feel, I look at it, I go, they didn't like me because I was biracial. That's what I think it was.
That's what it is.
I just thought before it wasn't that. It was just they didn't like me and I didn't care. Go ahead.
Powerful. Thank you for that, Princess. Good information.
Thanks for having me.
I'm gonna see you in Milwaukee soon.
Yes, please come back.
Definitely. All right, gorgeous. Take care now.
Bye.
All right.
They prefers mulatto women over their own women. Let's be clear. He married one. Tariq Nasheed married one. Professor Griff, all your favorite pro-blacks, they prefer mulatto women over their own women. What other group of men do you see that in? Do Asian men prefer other races of women over their own? Do Mexican men? No, they don't.
Yes.
White men prefer their own women. Mexican men prefer their own women. Asian, Arab men prefer their own women. I don't see that with any other demographic. I'm just calling it
Asians prefer white people. Both of them, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
The men and the women. They kind
That's
of
true.
like for Asian to get a white woman is like a
It's
big
hard.
score. That's like, oh, that's like, yeah, it's really hard.
It's
And so it's like
easy.
a big achievement.
Me and you have white moms, and I lost my virginity to a white woman. We've had many, I'm pretty sure you have, I've had many white female partners. It's easier for us, I think, in a lot of cases to connect with white women and to have white partners versus maybe Asian demographic. It depends on your class status, who you are, what you look like, etc. Right? So it's not a big deal to us. But I kind of see what you're saying. But you're saying majority of them prefer white. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I don't
Asian
know,
women
man.
are the least race loyal of all women. Number one, they're the least race loyal of all women.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
like any white
I
man, you
see
can just
that.
go. You can just go to their country, and you're gonna have a high value just by being a white, like just by being a white man, because
Right,
there's like
right.
a high demand, and yeah, it's like it's. I mean, that's the only other race, but that's
Just them.
that
You don't
that
see
I can
that with
think of.
Hispanics. I don't
Not with
see
the
that
other
with
percent.
Hispanics and Latinos. I don't see that with Arabic people, but with Asian, I see your argument because I have analyzed that.
I lost my
But
virginity to Latina, by the way. It was
which one?
Latina, actually.
Go
It was
ahead.
Latina, but before I would have considered her that. It was just I'm just remembering because you said something about you lost your virginity to you, and I was thinking, like I forgot. Oh yeah, actually Latina because mostly is white, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a Latina there.
Oh, in Southern California, it's like majority is Latino.
Oh yeah, here there's rare. It's out. That's the actually what we're missing. That's the biggest. I would say the biggest difference is the missing demographic. So here they're really rare
With
and more exotical.
what I've seen with Mexican men, they prefer Mexican women and vice versa. I don't see like with I agree with you with the Asian thing. That's probably the only other demographic where I see that. But and maybe East Indian women, people classify them as Asian.
Black women and men. Yeah, black women and men.
They prefer other groups, right?
Yeah.
See, in the environment I grew up in, whereas a lot of Mexican Americans, a lot of Hispanic, it's not like that. They prefer their own group. And majority of groups of people marry their own group, but we see the higher discrepancies with Black Americans. Let me continue on.
Say this before I bring the next person up. I want to say this because it's very important, and I want y'all to hear me. I want everybody to hear me now. I'm very serious. Some of you made some very derogatory comments towards that princess. Okay, I don't know her age, but I'm pretty sure she's in her early 20s. And the fact that grown Black folks would try to demean, disrespect, or embarrass her during a live conversation with me, I find that very distasteful.
And this is pre-recorded or after the fact, so there's not a live chat, so I can't see what the comments were made, but they're probably, making the typical comments that we see all the time from them, right? So when you're in their spaces, that's what you would expect. You're a minority trying to get acceptance into their space, okay? Now that we have our own spaces, okay, the rules have changed now. We have the microphone now. Let me continue on. But of course, the main issue is that if they come in here acting funny and then you challenge them, which is going to happen. But the first people to be against you are going to be your Mulattos, okay? Like multifacial movement, the ghetto grandma, the future is androgynous, okay? Your typical, same-sex attracted hood boogers. They're going to be the first ones to be against what you're doing, defending your integrity, right? I just want to throw that out there for people because I don't see a lot of attacks from Black people, to be honest with you. I get a lot of them, but I'm telling you, man, these Mulattos, okay, they're going to be the first ones to jump out in front to throw your ass under the bus so they can tell Black people, hey, I'm one of the good ones,
Very distasteful because she's a child and we need to be careful.
He said that she looks like she's in her early 20s, but then he says she's a child. Come on, Umar. Come on, man. Let's get it. She's not a child, bro.
Careful. And I want everybody to know something. When you come to the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy.
Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey. Frederick Douglass is a mulatto man. He named his school after a mulatto man. Marcus Garvey was in competition with W.E.B. Du Bois, who is mulatto. That's something to think about, guys.
I want you to know this. We are a
they have a conspiracy that
institution.
he was black, but I have evidence against that. No, they were the other one. I don't know.
Marcus Garvey or Frederick Douglass.
No, Frederick Douglass. Yeah, because a lot of them believed that he was actually black because he said that he didn't know. But I have pictures that show that he doesn't look black at all. You can tell he's not fully black.
Yeah, especially as he gets older. Yeah.
But the pro-blacks think that but yeah, that's exactly when he gets older. Especially showing a late one, he really looks it. You can tell he's not black. But in their minds, you see Rashid, they believe that it's a conspiracy that white people are doing to prevent the fact that he was black. They're just they believe that.
Yeah, well, she's a conspiracy theorist, so she makes shit up, you know.
No, I'm saying it's a pro-whack thing.
Oh yeah. No, they rewrite history. They're calling themselves Indians now. The pro-whack.
And Umar is a Garveyite.
History of this country built
Umar
by
is a
the African diaspora. Let me say.
Well, Umar's all over the place, but yeah, he follows Marcus Garvey. Yeah, he named his school after him, but he's all over the place, you know.
Say that again. The first school in the history of this country built by the African diaspora.
Yeah, he's a Garveyite. He was UNIA. Yeah, he was UNIA.
FDMG is the first school in.
UNIA's United Negro Improvement Association. Yep. That's Marcus Garvey's organization that he started. Yep.
The history of this country built by the diaspora. That means black people from every country, every continent, every culture, every community. They helped us buy that school. They helped us renovate that school. They helped us operate that school. That was a child.
He refers to her as a child again. I'm like, bro, you said she looks like she's in her early 20s. That's from my observation. She looked like it. She's in her early 20s. Why the fuck
they view all mulattoes as children because they have this parent/supervisor complex when it comes to us.
Like that's what it is. Like they own us. Exactly.
Can I give an
explanation? I've heard. My bad. Go on, please.
I think I noticed as we get older, especially like me, I've noticed that you start calling people who are young kids. It's not that you're thinking that their kid is in their body; it's their mind. It's like you might say a 20 or like when I look at let's say
she's not a child though.
Multiracial, it's like a kid. It's like I'm saying I get what you're saying. I'm saying mentally, especially if you're like educated and the older you get, especially you just kind of you'll even catch like a 60-year-old call like a 40-year-old a kid. Like there's like
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Just as it's almost like an order. I don't know. I'm just saying that.
Show a little bit of African dignity. Have a little bit of black integrity about yourself. Because when you show up at the FDMG, if you disrespect a single mixed race person, I want y'all to notice, if you disrespect a single one of my mixed race brothers or sisters, you will be banned for the rest of your life. I want to be clear about that. I want to be absolutely clear. Mixed race, as far as I'm concerned, is all black and no different than the rest of us as long as they choose to identify as black people.
You hear that?
That's contradictory.
As long as they choose to identify with us. As long as they choose to identify with us. As long as they choose to identify as us.
Right. Look, I said the exact same thing.
That's a nice
with the MGMs.
Nice one.
But remember me a couple months ago, I would have said the same thing about the MGMs. I would say as long as they identify as
I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know that Umar would say something like this. I didn't expect this for biracials. I guess he is making a full court press effort to try to get mixed race, mulatto, and biracial people included under the African American and Black American umbrella.
No, just only the women. Just only the women. They want the men to be visible.
Well, let's be clear. He said men as well. So I mean, I get it.
To play smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, there's more favor to the women.
Right. He's really interested in the women. He's really interested in the women.
But he has to include the men.
He came out forcefully. He said, "You're going to be banned for saying that." That's a surprise. That's kind of a surprise to me. I didn't expect for him to say that. That could be all talk, but I didn't really expect that for Umar.
It's all talk.
Right. He's making an effort. Go ahead.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something, but I'll think of it again.
Full time. If they identify as black full time, I'm going to accept them and treat them as black full time. And if you do not like that, do not show up at the school, because FDMG will not be a revolving door. If I have to excuse you from that campus, you will be excused for life. I thought that was very wrong, the way that y'all treated her. And to black men, let me expose your hypocrisy.
Recordings just got better.
This is going to be critical what he's going to say right here. To black men, speaking to the hypocritical dark skins. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
To black men, let me expose your hypocrisy real quick. I'm trying to understand how some of my brothers can insult mixed race black women and then turn around and they the main women you are chasing down.
Boom. Bars. And it's funny because he draws the distinction. He doesn't say black women. He says mixed race black women. Oh, but the white man massa just sees you as black by default, But like he said, a lot of these guys, dark-skinned guys, they'll clown around. They'll say, they'll call you names and stuff. But the main people, we all know, we've already said this on this stream, that I've experienced this. I've known this since high school. Dark-skinned black men, they prefer the mulatto aesthetic over their own counterpart, over their own women. This is public knowledge, guys. Okay, this isn't just some shit I'm making up. We've all noticed that, experienced that, seen that with our own eyes. The cat's out the bag. You can't hide and lie. And so the thing is, they'll sit there and throw the women under the bus. Look what happened with Doja Cat. I saw that with Doja Cat. A lot of these dark skin, even the divestors were kind of running their mouth about that. They jumped on that situation because they saw a lot of dark skinned black men. They felt like their ego was hurt. Their feelings were hurt because Doja Cat prefers white men. I think she's kind of bisexual. She likes women too, but she preferred like the white guys over the dark skinned black guys. And a lot of black guys were real bitter and hurt about that. So they were throwing their venom towards her, and the divestors jumped on that kind of because but yeah,
right, because that's a part of the space that biracial women inhabit. That's part of the space that biracial women inhabit in it.
Go ahead, Hybrid.
I seen a video when it was her, and it was like a white boyfriend she had, and she was kind of on his back, and they were talking like it was like, it was like just like a media where you have to say kind of like here, but she was humping his butt, like, and he was like, "Oh, I love it," like as if she was fucking it, like she was fucking him. And she has that song, "The Bottom Bitch." And so, if you look at like the men, even when the man she's with now, they're almost always gay. They're not straight men. She's into like feminine white men. They're not like, she kind of had the Asian in the video. She's into like, and I think that's androgyny a little bit.
Yeah, Doja Cat has basically kind of been exposed as a weirdo. Unfortunate because she has a lot of talent. She has a lot of talent.
Ridiculous, like amazing. Yeah. Like nobody can doubt that. Even though I don't like her, I don't listen. No, I can't doubt that she's one of the most talented. I can't doubt.
Yeah, she had the #1 song in 2020. One of the #1 songs. But yeah, she's pretty weird. But let me continue on with this.
Insult a mixed race black woman, and the first woman you go sniffing under and chasing under and thirsting after and trying to turn into a wife and a baby mom is the same.
Turn into a baby mom, kind of like a golden ghetto grandma and multifacial movement, right? They're both baby mamas. So the same dudes that they got knocked up by, they'll talk crap on mixed race biracial people, but then they'll lay up with them and make baby mamas of them and then turn around and talk crap, Even Michi X, right? Similar situation.
Sometimes when the relationship with them does break up, the black men will use the race against her. Oh, it's because she's half white. That has happened a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So when it goes bad, but before he never said that. But once it started going, like that became like one of the constant insults. Yeah.
Like her hateful white side popped up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And that's why the relationship didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got to be victims. They got to be proud victims. That's part of that FBA, ADOS kind of identity. You got to be a victim. It's everyone else's fault. You know, you got
Yeah,
to be
there's
a
an
victim.
excuse for everything. There's an excuse
Yes.
for every situation, and then they
No,
recite and practice their excuses.
there's no accountability in a community. But I'm not here to pick on them like that just because Umar wants to be the spokesperson. Okay. And so, you know, he's going to put himself out there like that. So here we are, the mulattoes here. So,
Black woman, you just got finished insulting. I wish y'all make up your mind. I wish you Negroes make up your mind. You got nothing but jokes for mixed race people, and they the first ones you want to date, the first ones you want to marry, the first ones you want to sleep with.
yeah, we know that that's their preference. We're reiterating that now on this one stream. Like, I've known that since high school. They prefer the biracial black white woman over their own. They're the first ones. All the music videos, you see Latinas and all that.
Let me go to the next person. Who's
So is
pulling up
Umar
next?
talking about
What's going on?
himself as well?
Look at this woman. This woman looks like she's a straight up Latina, but you listen to how she talks. It's kind of that Michi X multifacial movement syndrome where she's got a talk called extra with the black scent to try to act like she's down. And it's like, you do not look anything black. I mean, even Brandy, you look at her, she doesn't look black at all. But they try so hard to fit in, so they got to use their accent, their tone of voice, and how they talk to try to weasel their way into the community to get that kind of fake acceptance, so to speak. Look at this woman here. She's an African queen. When she's gonna go to Ghana, they're gonna be like, "Man, get out of here, man."
Hi, how you doing?
I can't complain. How's everything?
It's all right, you know.
Did you see the new Whitney Houston?
You hear how she talks, and you
Well,
look at
that's
her.
so cringe. Oh my god. And it's
Look at
fake
her.
too.
But he'll accept her
Oh,
because they need the
oh my
the
God.
numbers. They need the numbers. They need, because in this society in America, they're declining. They're becoming more miscegenated and mixed. Our numbers are growing. Their numbers are declining. In other demographics, because of immigration, so I hear background noise. Who is it? Someone's got a mic on. I hear background noise.
No, I don't know who that is.
Someone, whoever you are, turn your mic off because I can hear myself.
It's just him. It's just him.
Okay, but yeah, what I'm saying is because they need the help that they can get. They need all the help they can get, so they will claim a lady like this who literally looking at her, you're like, "Miss, okay, I know you sound and talk black. You probably got a black mom, black dad. I don't know who's black, but literally, you're not like a part. Look at them. They look like two completely different people, different racial groups. But he needs to claim people like that if they can be used and utilized right."
And to add on
yeah.
to what you said, like whenever a mixed person speaks in Ebonics, that's similar to buck breaking. So if you don't speak in Ebonics, then they're not going to accept you. So that's pretty much your initiation into the black circle. So you have to speak in Ebonics. So okay, you're pretty much our fool. You're going to be our tool because you're willing to speak in Ebonics and downgrade yourself. So it is a form of buck breaking, and it's not talked about.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. And I like your perspective on this because me and you're more acquainted. You follow the sport of boxing more than me. I'm more of the MMA cage fighting, but we know boxing, right? And so we can say Gervonta Davis and then Keith Urban. Look at both of them. They have the mixed race aesthetic. And look at Gervonta Davis is a Pookie, tattoos all on his neck. He appeals to the Pookie. He could barely speak fucking English. And I like his boxing style. I think he's
going to get
ferocious.
beat, but yeah.
He's like, by Dave Garcia. He's a ferocious boxer. Okay. I like how he's a very aggressive. I like how he boxes, a little dude, but he can barely speak. I tried to watch a pre-fight interview of this guy. I couldn't even watch the whole damn clip. After a minute, I turned it off. This guy cannot articulate himself. He can barely speak English. But then you look at Keith Urban. Doesn't have any tattoos, speaks perfect English, and black people don't rock with him like that. So, and you see that, Sharp, you see that, how you got to appeal to that Pookie aesthetic to be down with the community. If you're a guy like Keith Urban, you speak good English, you're respectable, all of a sudden, oh, I don't claim you, I don't know, you ain't from the hood.
Or you have to be like Andre Ward. Andre Ward, he was clean cut, but his wife was black, and he's biased towards non-black fighters. So if it's always a black fighter versus non-black fighter, then Andre Ward has to be critical of that non-black fighter and root for black fighters regardless. So pretty much those are the only options. And I'm just adding on to what you said. And Keith Thurman, his wife is in black, so they treat him as he's another.
Thank you. Thank you. Because you're absolutely correct. Andre Ward is a mulatto man, but his wife is black and he capes for blacks. Because I train with black boxers and they all like Andre Ward. They look at him as one of theirs, like you said, because he married into blackness and he capes for blacks. You're absolutely correct. Where Keith Urban is like his own man, his own individual. He's not like a subordinate. He's a competitor, a fighter. But Andre Ward, who's mulatto, but a lot of black people claim him, like you said, because he married into blackness. So now they're like, okay, he's safe. He's a safe one. He's one of ours. He's under our influence. Exactly.
And Keith Urban, he likes reading, playing flutes, instruments. So he doesn't really he doesn't talk in Ebonics. Like he may say some outlandish stuff, but that's his character though. There's a difference between being ghetto and just being a character. He has a good sense of humor, and I follow his Instagram every now and then, and he's patriotic. He likes America. He plays flutes. He likes traveling. So he likes getting to different activities that are not considered so-called black.
Yeah, no, precisely. That's
all I gotta say on that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've noticed that for sure, 100%. Let me go back to the clip here. Pull that up. Yeah, because I saw this. I looked at this lady. She sounds all blackety black, like Michi X, but I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Like, I look blacker than her, man, and it's ridiculous.
The movie.
But I don't talk like her, and that's on purpose because I actually have dignity in myself. I'm not, trying to fit in to white society or black society. I mean, I'm doing pretty damn well for my age, where I'm at. I'm happy.
You got to go see the Whitney Houston movie. It's real. In the theater? Yeah, it's out. Me and my mom went the other day. It's pretty good though.
Yeah, okay. I have to check it out.
I didn't know her father was stealing her money.
Well,
yeah, Whitney kind of
surprised me. I feel like that happens sometimes. People when they getting money and they go into the wrong hands.
What's a New Year's resolution that we need to make, black folks, all of us, Sophie? Give me what's a New Year's resolution? What's something we need to strive for as a people?
I feel like we all need to come together, and we need to support each other.
No, that's a funny thing. He's asking her, this woman who doesn't look black at all, asking her, as a people, as a community, what do we got to do? And then the first thing she's going to say, we're going to come together. They've been saying that shit for 50, 60 years, come together. Black America is more divided than they've ever been in the history of America. This whole ADOS, FBA thing. Now, to be fair, Umar is a Pan-Africanist. So he claims all black people, regardless of their language or nationality. Versus Tariq Nasheed, which they don't get along with each other. Tariq Nasheed is strictly pushing the Black American FBA thing. So to be fair, Umar is going to be more kind of inviting and willing, but the same playbook, the Chancellor Williams, black supremacy, conspiracy theories, because Tariq Nasheed pushes those same conspiracy theories on the mulatto men. He looks at us as a threat, but he's married to a mulatto woman. The same thing, but I'm just trying to show you guys the kind of subtle nuances of the Pan-Africanism versus the more kind of Black American nationalism with the FBA that Tariq Nasheed pushes. But getting back to the point, he's asking this woman who doesn't look black at all, telling her, what should we do as a people? She's saying, we got to get together as a people. They're going to push your ass out because you don't look like them. You're going to be a minority in their spaces. So they're going to push your ass out. That's the funny thing. She's like, we got to all get together and be a people. They've been saying that shit for 60 years. They're more divided than they've ever been in the history of the country. And she's going to be the first one they're going to push out. Fucking hilarious. Yeah.
There's communities, there's Chinatown, and even closer,
it's not Chinatown. It's Chinatown. You know what I'm saying? It's Chinatown. It's not Chinatown. Yeah, because they practice group economics, because they have a culture that goes back to Confucianism. They respect their elders. They don't throw their damn grandparents in a friggin' nursing home. And then the parents, they reinforce discipline. where there's something called like a B. If you get a B on your report card, they call it like an Asian C. I had a Filipino friend. He has a doctorate degree, and his father was an architect. And this guy was telling me, man, as a kid, we're both around the same age, but he's more kind of academically accomplished than me. I remember as a kid, man, this guy, he'd get his butt whooped if he got a C on his report card. I mean, that's how they reinforce that structure, that system of academic excellence. They have that within their communities, right? Whether they're Filipino or Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese, etc., where in a communita, you don't see that at all. So that's kind of the kind of value system that's missing there. But according to her, who's basically an other, we just all got to get together and spend our money because all these other people, they do. I've been hearing that shit for years. Look, I bought all of Dr. Claude Anderson's books. I've traveled this country. I've looked for black businesses all over the place, all the way from black banks, black gun stores, black restaurants, black insurance companies, black hospitals, all across the board. I was, traveling the country looking for answers in doing that type of stuff. I guess advocacy, you could say. And I'm telling you, man, here we are. That was back in 2016, 2017. Here we are in 2023. The whole ADOS, FBA thing. Things are more divided than they've ever been. But,
to bite on what you said, my bad about interrupting. So the thing about black businesses, something that I noticed is that they don't have good business practices, and it's more fleshed towards narcissism than creating jobs and helping out the community. Because you look at most black businesses have overpriced products and they rarely have any employees. They can afford at least a handful of employees, but they want to keep everything to themselves, and they want to control every department. So it's all about control and not working for a white man. My thing is like, look, it's okay to work for the perpetual white man and learn these skills, because you cannot become a good entrepreneur if you're not a good employee. And a lot of black businesses, they skip that step. They directly went into business first before learning and mastering their sectors of industry. And mulattoes, we need to take our time and develop businesses organically, and then actually have investors and learn those skills to the fullest. And that's why the Asians are winning, because the Asians, they have businesses, but at the same time, they still want to work at Google, Amazon, Yahoo, etc.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Anybody else have any opinion on that?
It'd be cool to have, the best is to have like a self-employed where you're employing your own people. It's funny because only white people really get that, right? Where they get to employ so easily their own group, because so it kind of keeps things within the group.
Yeah, I mean,
and how they'll be treated.
There's such a demand for labor in America where white people are pretty much forced to hire Mexican people, right? And even Mexicans, they open up restaurants or other businesses. They hire their own. They hire Mexicans. Asian people as well. They practice that. The only demographic who doesn't is black people. And I know you'll probably get pushback publicly saying that, but I think even black people will publicly admit that as well. We see that. So the whole point is, us as mulattoes, what the hell are we going to do? We're going to follow that trend?
Of course not. No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
We'll suffer in silence.
This is a public platform. This isn't like, secret private information. Obviously, we all kind of network and talk and have these discussions, but yeah, do you want that for yourself? Do you want your children to work for other people? Okay. I don't. Okay. So something to think about. That legacy, passing something down to you. I don't have any children,
It used to be normal to do that in traditions. It used to be normal, and especially even work and traditions. Like they would have, of course, they have caste at one point where they would always take on the same job. Like they would always be trained because there wasn't schools, right? So the only way to really learn to work was like your parents. You did whatever they did, but they'd have the family would get like a certain pride in making something or just having something like a bank or something. And it would always like,
we have to learn how to produce. And I agree with hybrid. Like we have to learn how to produce our own products, because what do black people produce? They don't even produce entertainment anymore because hip hop is on. Yeah. But even like the black celebrities fading away, and then they're being replaced. And like being an orator, that's not going to produce anything. And you can make money off of social media, but that's empty of money because you don't control resources. So mulattoes, what we need to focus on is producing goods and services.
Yeah, no doubt.
The
No
problem with
doubt.
black people historically and not being able to capitalize on their own stuff is because there's always the bigger white man or Jew that can buy them out, right? There's always like who can buy the whole company out, who can pay that one guy who let's say it's, it's Dr. Dre, but he's probably not a good example because he's rich, but let's say it's somebody else, right? But even him, let's say he's pretty big. He's like one of the big. He's a cult billionaire. He's a billionaire. So it's a bad example. Okay, but let's take somebody else who wasn't that high, but relatively. All those rich white people, they can just buy them out. They can just say, "I'll buy your whole business here, take it," and it gets transferred over. And now it becomes it becomes now white owned and black workers.
That's what happened with hip hop.
Well, that's a discipline issue though.
But historically, no, I don't think it's their fault. There's because there's just not as many rich ones. It's easy to buy them out because they're lower. They can be bought out easier, and people like Dre can't. That's the whole point. That's why he was never bought out, because he's like he's a couple of big billion, because he was so big, he was able to not have that pressure. Yeah, just like
and he married into the mulatto group, as they always do when they get that money, when they get that status, and they're not bought out by the small hats or white people per se.
Yeah,
they marry into the mulatto category, as Dr. Dre has done himself. I'm gonna continue on with this, guys.
Like Norristown has a lot of Mexicans. And that's close to Philly, so they all support each other. Like they popping up with
she looks Mexican.
Corner stores.
She looks like a straight Puerto Rican Mexican. She could just fit into that group, and he look at his smirk on his face. He knows by looking at her, like, blacks aren't gonna claim you like that.
Yeah, he's smug.
He's smug. You can tell by his facial expression. But they need all the help they can get. Okay, but they, I sympathize with a lot of them. But yeah, they need all the help they can get, because it's tough out here, man.
And stuff, and that's where they go.
So like I said, I sympathize with a lot of them, but I am not gonna kiss your black ass. I'm not gonna be in a position like her or the rest of these people on this panel to try to prove themselves. I'm good. I'm doing something else, but if I show up, I have good intentions, but it is what it is. Let me continue on.
They got a laundromat. They all at that laundromat. If they got a store,
it's going to be a reciprocal relationship based off trade. I look at it as groups of people. It's going to
have to give us money. They have to give us money if they
or services.
But the thing about it is, like, if they want us to claim black, at this point you're going to have to pass, because more mulattoes are waking up. So if you want us to claim the black card, then you're going to have to pass us some money. If not, then you have no room nor leverage to talk.
Yeah, they don't have any leverage. They don't have, even though they have numbers. It's funny how these mulattoes, I'm going to say it, more so these mulattoes, like the earlier lady who's basically like, I got privilege, I'm lighter skin. They act like they're privileged. I've seen it in some Facebook groups where there's a mulatto woman who's like, they treat me better, I'm light skin. But I'm like, you're a minority in their group. Even with them, there's more of them. You're a minority. It's like they still need the help.
They can turn on you any time.
They'll turn on your ass. They'll revoke your black card. They'll turn on your ass at a drop of a hat. And I've seen that too many times to where I took a step back, was like, okay, got to regroup, reanalyze, and strategize moving forward, because this shit's getting too real out here. And I'm not going to be punked and devoured, Hybrid, I think you want to say something.
Oh, and the whole skin color thing, that's always been like a fallacy. That's always been a straw man to avoid talking about just the differences in the people. She has privilege because she's better looking. That's why she has that. The other woman, she's good looking. Right. That's why she has privilege, right? But that's a much better answer than saying it's because your skin. The skin, it's always been to erase the fact. Even the most racist, openly racist white person doesn't think it's the skin color. They're not going to accept, an albino black person, because that's the language itself is already a fakery, right? Even when we talk in here, something will be like light skin, but it's kind of, it's a whole, it's because to fit in the idea that we're all black and there's just different shades. That's what it presumes in the language. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, you're right. They look at her. It's not because it's because she's pretty.
Yeah. And so now she's gonna say it's like a stand.
She's pretty. It's because there's so many ugly, light skinned mulatto women. Like, she's not one of them. She's one of the pretty ones. So yeah.
And even prettier black women were very pretty. If they could match that, would still be. Yeah. But the skin is a straw man. Real racist people, they think it's genes. They don't think it's like
exactly. Thank you for saying that, because I'm on the lighter side, man. It's winter time, so I'm light skinned. As the sun's coming out, I'm gonna tan, get a little darker. It's not the
Yeah.
skin with white people, it's the genes. It's you have African genes in you. They're looking at you like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not the skin tone. You're right.
And it's also that's part of the trick to also keep us in the blackness, though. So we don't say the reason why it's called colorism and not racism is to give the sense that we're both black. That's why they say within the same race, even right? Kind of, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And
That's
the
how it's
color
built to kind of keep us in. Yeah.
in exactly.
Structure.
Yeah, to keep us into the structure. Exactly. You know, you're 100% correct on that. Because that colorism, I don't fall for none of that shit. If someone calls me a colorist, that's fine. Okay, I'll be the colorist. I don't give a shit. You have no power, you know, academically or economically wise. You're gonna boycott me or petition me and what I'm doing. I don't give a shit. There's no weight in that phrase colorism. I've never acknowledged that. I've seen that at the university. I was in some of these, like I was in one like black club. I wasn't an official member, but I showed up to their meetings. And of course, it was only the ladies, okay, the dark-skinned black women trying to push that colorism shit. I've never seen the men talk about colorism. As men, you got to compete, okay? You join the military, you join the police force, you open up a business, you got to compete. It's the women. I've always known it's been a female-centric argument, this colorism component. I've never bought into that shit. It's always been foolishness and hogwash to me. And to continue on.
They go.
Yeah,
So
colorism
need to open
is
up our own.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, colorism. It's interesting, the whole colorism debate that takes place, or the colorism deal, and it's like it doesn't really have a thing with biracial people, because it's really weird to me, because it seems to me that it seems to be an issue in black communities, but it seems like it's a bigger issue than it should be. Like, aren't there bigger problems than color issues or who's got lighter skin than somebody else? It just seems to me an odd thing to like consider a major issue. That's just my opinion.
It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm going to continue on with this.
Own corner stores. We need to open up our own laundromats.
And for anybody there is in the audience attending Cloud Watchers, whatever, the link is dropped. So anybody's, welcome to jump on the link or jump on the panel, hit the link.
Everybody should patronize those places.
Her black scent is so gross. I just wanted to say that again.
Wow. That's a good point. So you said we got to take that unity to another level.
Yeah, because that's what they do. They support their own. They're not going out.
But they're not all like, compared to black people. Yeah, they're way more unified. But all these other groups are not as unified as you think. Not in America. America is extremely more tribalistic. But what's your thoughts on that, Sharp? As far as the situation
concerning what?
She's saying, this lady's framing it that all these other groups are unified and they spend their money to a degree. Yes, they practice group economics, but when it's compared to black people, the discrepancy is so huge. Black people, like, there's a large self-hatred where they'll claim someone like her into their group, because the self-hate, they hate themselves, so they'll claim her, and it's like they don't spend money with their own people and hire their own, where these other groups. Go ahead.
My bad. But okay, I get what you're saying now. So the thing with a lot of blacks are hyper tribalistic is you think that Europeans and Asians are tribalistic, but it's actually Africans are hyper tribalistic. That today there's over 3,000 tribes in Africa. So throughout the whole continent, there's 3,000 tribes and they constantly conflict with each other. So the Black America is a microcosm of what Africa is.
Right,
what's that background noise? My bad. So somebody's background.
Africans are actually very diverse genetically, with ideas just because they look black, they have a similar exterior. They've been kind of generalized. Like, it's white people that just generalize, black, but they're actually different races. Go for it.
But the thing about Black Americans, the de facto lead group in America is a black church. That's the de facto. When I mean de facto, that means leader by default is a black church, but there's no clear-cut leader that can get us into one direction. Like, You look at other groups, let's say East Indians, they have their own coalitions. It's clear and cut. Sikhs, they have their own coalitions. Taiwanese, Thailand, every group has a clear cut coalition except blacks, and they're all over the place. And mulattoes, we're even in a worse situation because we don't even have a race, and we're at the social mercy of blacks. So we're not even allowed to stick together. It's like, oh, like, why are mulattoes gathering up? You guys are up to something. You're colorists. So we're not even allowed to communicate with each other in public on the social scale.
And they have the historical mythos, right? They have the historical mythos based on the book, right? The destruction of black civilization. It's kind of like a cult religious thing to prevent us, so that when something does arise, it's to stop us. Based on it's almost like a message.
Well, even Caucasians, even Caucasians. I lived in Canada before. A lot of mulattoes, they stood together. They still stick together in Canada, but Caucasians are always wary of us because we're more rebellious than black people, and we can play both sides. They think that, okay, mulattoes are both black and white. They can play both sides and put a wedge in between black and white people. And this is not even the case. Like, if we're our own group, we can contribute to America, but for some reason, we're seen more of a threat than black people, even though we don't have that many numbers. So it just doesn't make any sense. It's more about policing our behavior. And blacks, they get to use us for free. So you're pretty much getting free emotional labor, and then you get free social economical labor as well. And you don't even have to lift your finger. Like, look at the Super Bowl, for example. You have Patrick Mahomes. He's considered black. And Mahomes, he brings in a lot of money and social clout. And you can say, oh, he's black now because he's winning. But if Mahomes was a horrible quarterback, he wouldn't even be in a discussion to be black. So exactly. We bring black people social clout. This is what this is all about. And for white people, they just want us to just be neutralized because they see that we're more of a threat. So those are two paradigms within the black and white communities.
It's the left that does that to us, right? The left does that to help, like, for black people. They do it to kind of like, and it's awkward because in some sense they basically you have that privilege because they're putting you up there to represent it, but at the same time they take you down even faster. Like, right, if you do something wrong, you'll get that backlash, like you see with Mulatto the artist. You know, Mulatto the artist.
Yeah, look at Mulatto.
I get that, but aside from being like, yeah, she's dumb and she's a fan, like her in that sense, and she's ratchet. But aside from being that doesn't take away that the attack was based on that, right? The attack, the reason for it wasn't because of her ratchetness, because they like that, but it was because of her mulatto-ness, right?
Exactly. Yeah, her mulatto-ness was the attack.
So when she makes a mistake, she gets hit harder. That's what I'm saying. Like, they hit her harder than if another black person, right? Because she's right to make sure she.
At this point, the only solution is to ignore.
They lied and said that she stole the wig or something. Remember, they lied and were saying that she stole the wig. And I see a black woman conspiring.
Yeah, I believe it. I didn't hear about the story. Before Sharp speaks, I wanted to say I really agree, and I like what you said, that basically as the current state, what we're doing, blacks are getting mulatto services for free. There's no reciprocity, and what mulattoes get in exchange is this fake acceptance from blacks. But I like the way you said it, Sharp. I'm gonna when the stream's done, I'm gonna go back and listen to it, because you said we're basically helping them for free, which I agree 110%. There's no reciprocity, but it's that fake acceptance. But go ahead, Sharp. You want to say something?
Yeah. So there was an example, right? Mulatto, right? I don't really like rap, but Mulatto, she had to change name because of all the backfiring. So now she's called Lotto. So now the term is a bad term, but you've said this before. The N word is endearing, but mulatto's bad. But she has to change her name because she's a colorist. So pretty much we're the bad guy by default. So the only solution to this problem is to ignore both sides and to continue to do what we're doing. And if somebody attacks us, we just have to stick together and make sure that perpetrator, they lose money, they lose their job, whatnot, because you're not going to attack us and get away with it, because blacks, they feel comfortable attacking us at this point, and they're smug about it.
Exactly.
I can understand. Yeah, I can understand somebody attacking us and they're our honest enemies, and they're remorseful. But blacks are like, oh, we can get away with attacking them. This is quite fun, and that's humiliating. I can understand that. My bad. Please.
There's a content creator. Her name is Flower Tower, I think, And her whole platform is based off attacking biracials. Like you said, with the men and women, they're very smug and cocky with attacking biracials. Like I said, for me, that it's gotten to a point now where over the past few years, I took a step back, was like, wait a second, I got to readjust my position because I'm not going to go along with all this anti-mulatto shit. But the thing about Mulatta, I want to say before you continue on, it's funny how she changed her name from Mulatto to Lotto, but her ratchet ass is saying the N-word all over the place, all her songs. She says nigga this, nigga that. That's okay. She's got a white mom. They just don't want her claiming herself to be mulatto. But she can say nigga. You see that? It's like a conquering kind of component.
Yeah, like we have to be diplomatic. So we have to be the diplomatic ones, but they can be the forcing ones. But the funny thing about it is, like, black people only own less than 0.5% of America's wealth, and we have to compromise to that. If anything, I'd rather compromise to white people that own everything. Why am I going to compromise to somebody that owns 0.5% of America's wealth, and you make up most of the prison population?
That's what I laugh at.
It makes no sense. It's baffling because if mulattoes had their own society, we would have infrastructure. We're actually being held back. We're pretty much Harvard scholars stuck in a kindergarten class. That's how I view us being stuck with the black community. Like, we're in a kindergarten class, but we're Oxford graduates.
It's an amazing analogy. I like that analogy. An Oxford scholar stuck in a kindergarten class. Even that lady I shared, here, she looks like she's very young and impressionable, beautiful woman, amazing genetics, and here she is caping for the community. She's a fan of Dr. Umar Johnson. I like the way you framed that, Sharp. I'm going to continue on. Clip's almost done, guys. I want to get through this.
That we need to make, black folks, all of us, Sophie. Give me what's a New Year's resolution? What's something we need to strive for as a people?
I feel like we all need to come together, like, and we need to support each other. Like, there's communities, there's Chinatown, and even like closer, like Norristown has a lot of Mexicans, like, and that's close to Philly, and so they all support each other. Like, they popping up with they corner stores and stuff, and that's where they go. Like, they they got a laundromat, they all at that laundromat. If they got a store, and that's where they go. So I just feel like we need to open up our own corner stores. We need to open up our own laundromats, and everybody should patronize those places.
Wow. That's a good point. So you said we got to take that unity to another level.
Yeah, because that's what they do. They support their own. They're not going out and supporting others.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot. With black women,
mm-hmm.
What do you think is the main issue as far as the sisterhood getting closer with each other, the sisters? What's a New Year's resolution for the sisters?
Fair use, but she does not look like a sister. Let's see where this goes. Fair use.
I feel like the sisters, they just need to come together and just not be in competition so much, because I feel like we're in competition too much.
Fair use. She said where, and we are. Where?
No, it's one-sided. Do you know what's funny about this video, though? I don't want to continue to interrupt. How come he's talking to her like she's in an adult movie? It's like a casting couch. I'm not trying to be vulgar, but that he's talking to her like she's an idiot.
Well, the thing is, though, at the end of this clip, she's actually the one, because she's like she's thirsting for him, because he's a leader. You know, she wants the strong leader, and he's like the masculine leader. You'll watch as this comes to a close in about a minute. She's going to be asking him for his resume. So let's continue on.
Like, in my own personal experiences, if I'm doing something.
And I wouldn't be surprised if she has a bastard kid laying around somewhere, because that's his market. He serves the bastard baby maker market. Okay.
I've had somebody say, oh, like, well, why are you doing that? Questioning me. And then when I tell them.
So multifacial movement in the ghetto grandma would fit right into his camp. It's funny how they're kind of dancing around in the Umar sector, because, yeah, that's basically his market, is the baby mamas. But yeah.
And what I'm doing is like, oh, like, it's kind of like shade a little bit. And then later they're like, oh, how did you do that?
I feel you. A little bit too much competition.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I can feel you on that. So we're gonna see you at the grand opening.
You know I'll be there. I told you I'm trying to be the reading teacher.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But did you send your resume in?
I send it.
Okay. You sent it or you sending it?
Oh, I send it.
All right, whatever. You ain't send it. Send it. Send the resume.
No, I didn't send it, but I will.
All right, I'm looking for it.
It'll be there. Send your.
Say it again.
I said send your resume.
Cut it out. Bye, Sophie.
Bye.
You see that? All flirting and shit. Send your resume. You see that? Looking for a stepdaddy. Just by the way she talks, I mean, the black scent, I'm guessing she's got an illegitimate child somewhere. You know, you call me whatever you want. I'm rude or, you know, but it's what it sounds like.
All right.
Well,
looking for a stepdaddy. Umar, be the stepdaddy. Go ahead, Al.
Well, I was gonna say what she said before about, you know, she noticed. I don't know where she lives, but what she noticed about other ethnic and racial groups in Chinatown and I guess Latinos or Mexicans with their this is one of the things that gets compared. Even though I'm biracial, I'll just note this. The problem is that there's African Americans are a native born population. They're not an immigrant population. And the problem is that the model of other communities is that they're largely still immigrant based. They're still immigrants. So you have to understand when you're talking about other groups, whether they are various Asian groups or various Latino groups, businesses crop up in those communities to take care of and to deal with people who are often migrants or immigrants. So the reason why a number of people frequent those businesses is community basis, right? They come into the country, they look for people of their own ethnic and racial group, and that's why they
Yeah, there's a level of cohesiveness with their group. I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Well, yeah, not just cohesive. It's cohesive because it's immigrant based and ethnic based and so forth. But that's not the case for African Americans. It's different because they're not an immigrant population.
Right.
So simply having businesses is not, I mean, it's fine, but you had that during segregation. There are plenty of black businesses in communities, black owned businesses during Jim Crow America or Jim Crow era. But it didn't change things because simply because you have black owned businesses and black businesses catering to that community, racism and discrimination were problems and segregation were problems. Separate but equal was an impact. So at the end of the day, the problems of racism and discrimination are not going to be ameliorated by simply having businesses. It's fine that there are black-owned businesses. That's fine, but that's not solving anything. It's simply a part of a community. And so it's fine as part of a community, but they're looking at certain factors as in solving a problem. You won't solve a problem by people having businesses. Won't we solve?
I just want to say something. I haven't heard the word ameliorated in a very long time. I want to say because you said the word ameliorated, and I just haven't heard that like,
yeah,
for a long
it just
time.
came to mind.
Yeah, not since like
university.
Yeah,
it just came to mind.
Good friend, Sister Sophie. Yes, she's black. Goodness gracious.
You guys hear that?
Who we got next?
He said, yes, she's black. Let me go back. Okay, to the panel here. One by one. Does she look like a black woman to you, Al?
No. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Justin says no. Hybrid. Does she look like a black woman?
She looks Mexican.
That's what I think, too. She looks Hispanic. What about you,
Yeah,
Al?
no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't look like a black woman.
But he claims her to be black. I feel like that's a form of self-hatred. You want to protect the integrity of your group if you want to acknowledge you are a group. White people do that, Asian, Latinos,
right?
Every
but
other
again,
group
it's part of
does
the formula with Umar, the specific formula I mentioned in regards to mixed race people, right? So that's why I mentioned that subset formula. He's applying it now, right? He's applying it now with these two ladies that we just saw, right? You saw it in action, and we know how he operated.
Yeah, most definitely. And then now for the last segment, it's only going to be a couple minutes. There's a gentleman that pops up. So
My goodness, y'all really think they're not black? You know how many light skin,
he's going to apply it to a gentleman who's going to pop up. Let's check it out.
super light brights I got in my family?
Yeah, and his family, super light blights, because he claims to be a descendant of Frederick Douglass. But I'm telling you, man, you go to a black nation, none of them have light brights in their family, but his father's lighter than him. I'm going to talk about that in the future.
He's no descendant of Frederick Douglass. That's a lie, and he needs to stop lying about that.
Yeah.
Ramses, what's going on, bro?
Look at this cat, quintessential mulatto, right? The hair, everything, the skin tone, but of course he's going to be down for the revolutionary movement. It's very unfortunate how we find ourselves in this position. I was there once, and I'm speaking as a millennial. Like, I was in that position, and when I was in my 20s, early 20s, where I really identified with the plight. And we get put into that position, unfortunately, for whatever reason, with our experiences here in America. I can't describe it at my current stage of life, like how it is that we get put in this position to where we're fighting harder than most of these blacks out here. Like, we're fighting hard, for the inequalities, the injustice. We want to be down. We want that acceptance. It's like, it's very unfortunate. Why are we in that position? I haven't found the answers yet, but I'm not in that position anymore, but I'm just a guy on the outside looking in, kind of. I used to be that dude, kind of like this cat here. Let's continue on.
It's going good. I just want to ask you something, man. Well,
no
not
problem.
Even ask you.
Where you at?
I'm in Atlanta right now. Well,
ATL.
Metro type thing.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'll just say I'm Nicaraguan and Puerto Rican.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to say thank you so much for spreading the message to young people.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
it. Myself saying,
cringe.
What it is to be black.
And Umar and his type, his ilk, they need all the help they can get. That's why every one of these Hispanics and mulattoes, you're going to claim them all in. Look at his face. You can tell by his face. He's like, damn, these are the people calling me in. These are the people that are more down for you than even people of his complexion. Remind you guys, he has a couple baby mamas. They're probably his complexion. They threw his ass under the bus, okay? He was took to court by a black woman who tried to say his credentials were fraudulent. Tariq Nasheed doesn't like him. His own skin folk calling him a scam artist. They don't like him. But it's funny how I've met the guy, all these mulattoes and Hispanics are more down for him than his own goddamn skin folk. Why are we put in that position? I'm not, like I said, I'm not in it anymore, but I'm seeing this reoccurring theme. This video was like 4 months ago. And this is a younger generation, looks like a Z. All of them look like Zennials. They're sitting here fighting harder while you're going to have darker skinned people playing Xbox, smoking blunts, chasing light skinned women and white men for the quains, the divestors, dust vesters. They're chasing white men. But here you are, this ambiguous mulatto, fighting harder than all of their asses. They're sitting there at the crab leg spot, eating crab legs, playing Xbox. If they want acceptance, if they want acceptance into the community, right? To be down with the hood, so they can get the clicks and views and the cash apps and their subscribers and all that shit. Yep.
And messages about being Pan-Africanism and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Because look at MTR. Look at mediocre tutorial reviews. Dude looks like a mulatto. I don't know his family background. He's a light-skinned guy. They just call him light-skinned. He talks like he's fake-ass black accent. MTR. And yeah, he has a majority, I think, black audience. He has over 200,000 subscribers. He's one of these cats. He's going to try to act all blackety black, talk black. Even a lot of blacks say it's a fake-ass, ghetto accent with mediocre tutorial reviews. And it's like, yeah, so if that's the market you want to cape to, you got a whole market on YouTube of all these people, man. If your audience is primarily black and you're one of these little magical mulattoes, light-skinned guys, I mean, that seems like an easy market. to me.
Yeah, and yeah, in some way that's what causes it. It's not. It's just in some sense it's not always their fault. Like there is, like the pressure's there. That's what I mean. It's set up so the pressure's there to reinforce that we go black.
Tutorials and reviews are fine, but that guy, he's just mediocre. That's my take
MTR. You're talking about MTR, right? Mediocre tutorial reviews. Yeah, I don't like that guy's content.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just me personally. I don't like Fresh and Fit. I don't like Umar. I don't like Tariq Nasheed.
Yeah.
There's a few people I like. But
Although I don't like MTR,
I don't care for them. I've never liked Stale and Unfit. Yeah.
Well, they bring on nothing but OnlyFans chicks on their platform. It's like, just bring on some respectable women that aren't covered in tattoos and are smoking blunts, If they, I don't know.
They don't want that. They don't want that. They want women that they can attack and put down and call all kinds of names. That's what they want.
Well,
They're weirdos. They're creeps. Yeah. That's what
I'm gonna continue on with this clip here. Finish it out.
It's really helped me a lot, because as a, you say not to say it, but as like a mixed person, you can't really say it.
He said not to say it. See, there's a difference there, guys. Okay. It's like they don't want to state the obvious. He's telling him, I know you don't want me to say it. I'm just as black as you. No, you're not, bro.
He does not look black at all.
At all.
It's cringe as well because even Umar, he looks compelled right now and he has to play along. Because he wants to say something. Umar wants to say something, but he has to save face.
He hasn't got his mulatto wake-up call yet. He's a young cat. Okay. But I feel like in this generation now, more of us, we've woken up. Like, because me and you, Sharp, we're the same age range, same generation. Al and Hybrid are a little bit older. So it's like, I feel like a lot of us, even the video I shared of Jasmine on TikTok, she's a Zennial, early 20s. We're getting our mulatto wake-up call a lot sooner than the older generations, I feel like. So this guy, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, because like for me, I used to be pro-black like from 2014 to 2018, and after that, I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm not getting anything about it. And it hit me when I was in the military. You rarely have a black soldiers that want to listen to mulatto men. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, you're not all the way black. You're under me. It's like, don't tell me what to do. So my thinking is, if you're going to act that way, so why am I caping for you and working with you?
Right.
So you always have to watch your back. So I think that the military helped me. I've always thought that mulattoes just stay together, but I thought I was in the wrong place of mind. I'm like, maybe I'm being colors because sometimes it will come out of me. It's like, man, why am I doing this? But I'm like, I had to be in the right. I thought it was a right and noble thing to be pro-black, but I was actually doing the wrong thing because what you're doing, you're minimalizing your identity and your heritage. And when I was pro-black, I would delete all the white friends I had off of Facebook, and I broken a lot of bridges, so it cost me a lot of beneficial relations. But luckily, I did that in my early 20s.
Right.
So it was callous of me. Like I'm pro-black. I need to be ethnocentric. I have to stick with only black people. I have to delete every non-black off my Facebook list. I have to cut all my non-black contacts in. I was in a dark place, and like I said, luckily I was able to rebuild those bridges and acknowledge that, you know what, I was in the wrong, and it won't happen again. So my bad. Go on, please.
No, go ahead. Go ahead and finish. Yep.
And that's what a lot of mulattoes have to go through when they're pro-black. They have to cut off all their contacts that are non-black, and then these black people that they monopolize you, and you have to date black women. And we know, I'm not being colorist, that black women are not attractive. Okay, I'll keep it real. I'll keep a spade. I'll call a spade a spade. Black women are not attractive, all right? And we have to be assigned to them. We're basically being assigned women.
On average.
Yeah, so that's all I got to say, though.
Yeah, I wanted to cut in there. I wanted to say, I appreciate you saying that because it takes a lot of courage for what you said, because you said something about how you ruined relationships with a lot of white people and deleted Facebook. I've been there too. Like you said, a lot of us, we were in our kind of pro-black phase per se as mulattoes, biracials, and where we wanted to distance ourselves from white people to kind of, be more in good standing with black people. And we realize a lot of us, especially me and you, it served us nothing in the end. It was, and like what you said, I want to say, I appreciate you saying that, because we did that when we were younger, right? so we could bounce back from that, because it happened to us in our 20s, right? It happened to us in our 20s, so we can bounce back from that. Because if that happened to us later on in life, when we're in our 40s or something like that, it would be harder to bounce back from that. So because I experienced that as well, like you said, when I was in my, mid 20s, early to mid 20s. And so I resonate a lot with what you said, because I experienced that as well. Something similar, good relationships, good contacts, good people that I could build with. And I basically kind of pushed them to the side to kind of
Can I say
just,
something?
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I actually had my mute on for a long time. I think I talked here and there too. Me personally, I've always identified as mulatto. Like, I'm talking like, even when I was 3 years old, like even when I first went to school, right? A kid asked me right away. He said, "Why do you have a white mom?" Right? And I said, like, I was half black, half white. And I always, by the time, I think it was like about 8 years old, I was playing like a video game. I think I was playing Street Fighter or something, like the original arcade, and somebody called me a mulatto. Like, people were saying, "What are you? What are you?" And then somebody said mulatto, and they explained it to me, and I was like, "Oh!" And I've always, since then, I've always had that internally. And I would when I saw other mulattoes, I would always give them, I would call them half breeds. I would say that as a kind of like, yo, and I give them like a shake. I would call, "Hey, what's up, half breed?" I would say that even if I didn't know them, just like as a kind of like to identify that we're on the same team.
And the thing about it, my bad. Like, I want to
be pretty young.
I want to add on to what you said. So the thing about the mulattoes, it depends what region you're raised in. So I've noticed that a lot of mulattoes are more conscious about themselves if they're raised like in the Northeast region or in Seattle. So it depends. It's regional once it comes to this whole mulatto paradigm. But if you're raised in the wrong region, then you're going to have a hard time. So it's pretty much regional. So, like I said, if you're raised in, like, let's say Connecticut or the northeastern states, or even in Seattle where there's a high percentage of mulattoes, you're going to be more conscious about your identity. But if you're in California or, let's say, Texas, the antebellum South, then you're more black leaning.
Well,
so
no,
it's all regional. It's regional.
I'm going to push back for a second, because I'm from Southern California. And like I said, I've always been mulatto identified. I didn't have the vocabulary as I was younger. It wasn't until my early 20s when I first found the word mulatto, and I used it to identify myself. When I think the first time I was in a jiu-jitsu dojo, and I remember this guy, because he was mixed. He had a Syrian flag and a Honduras flag in the dojo. And I asked the guy, the sensei, the instructor, I asked him, "Oh, what flag is that? I know that's Honduras. Is that what flag?" He said, "Syrian." He said, "Oh, I'm mixed. I'm biracial. I'm half, Syrian, half Honduras, which is Hispanic Arab, right?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm mixed too." He asked me what mix, and I said, "Oh, I'm mulatto, black and white." So that was back in 2015. So even kind of in the pro-black phase per se, I've always understood. I've never threw my mom under the bus like that. There's been times where I've kind of, been pressured to do that, but I've never fully done that. But like you said, Sharp, how there has been times where I've kind of ruined relationships with white people just merely for the fact that they're white. And I have the courage to say that. And it's pretty despicable that I was in that position. And the unfortunate part is a lot of us are put in that position. Like, even this guy, he seems like a level-headed dude. He can get along with a lot of white people, work with them. I don't know what his discipline is at the university, but it's like they get, a lot of us, we get put in a position, whatever the force is out there. I can't describe it at them. I don't have the vocabulary to describe it now, but go ahead.
What happened to me is, as we got older, I noticed that the people that I talked to, like because I had actually when I was I'm just remembering this. When I was like my mom, like my earliest that I remember. Okay, my mom used to be. It wasn't just my mom. It was like my mom, and she was friends with a bunch of other kind of white women who also had like children. They all had like mulatto children, and we would all they'd all play. Like, they'd all bring us together in a park, and we would play. And I grew up with them. And I kind of watched their lives go across the years. Like, it's kind of scary. Like, some people, I know one that turned out to be some transgender, like, he's now on the streets, like a transgender prostitute. But I've just like, yeah. So early on, I had that foundation. What would happen with the detachment, what would happen later, what kind of went away, is that as they got older, I noticed a lot of people that I knew and I liked, they started to talk more black, right? And I didn't. Like, they started to get more, and to me, it seemed like they were being fake. It was like, we didn't talk about that before. It was like they're being fake. They were around me, and it became, because then they became more black identified, and that kind of made it weird, right? When I worked in construction, there was two teams. There was two teams that we'd have, and there was like Russian boss, and we'd have a white and a black team because they didn't work together; they'd fight. And I would be like the go runner in between them. But I never had, like, in every group, I'd have like a prejudice. Like, I never had my own, right? And I would even sit there and I would think about like I would think about that dream. Like, one day, how would I reach people? How would I ever, like? It'd be just awesome to have that. It'd be awesome to have a people, like I would fantasize about it. But it was like this kind of job, like, it was very mundane. Like, you did the same thing over and over, just like you was thinking. And yeah, honestly, that's how strong I've had that identity.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
It mixed. You gotta choose one side or the other.
And you have to choose one side or the other. That's what I'm telling you guys. That's why I say the third option. If you don't want the white side, black side, choose the mulatto side. We have a space for you here. It's now. You don't have to wait to 20, 50 years or whatever. We have it now.
And that helped me so much, like, because I just be telling all my black friends, like, this stuff about Pan-Africanism and, like, you know, Garveyism. I got into that so much.
Yeah, and he's gonna.
You can tell he doesn't talk black, sir.
Yeah.
That's what he doesn't talk black.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even I can tell, like, he looks like, in just his vocabulary, his presentation, he'd get along pretty good and cordial with a lot of white people. But like he said, he's all enthusiastic about Garveyism and Pan-African. He's gonna cape harder for black rights than black people their damn selves. That's the sad part about people like him. But he's got to use his light skin privilege and his proximity to whiteness. So black
but
people,
let's be fair though. Yeah, but we have to be fair. We have to be fair because, like I said, the mulatto spaces are in its birthing stages. So we can't blame him, and he's young and impressionable. So we just have to find ways to reach out to people at this point.
I agree.
We really can't judge. Like, if somebody's like under 30, we really can't judge them because we've been through the same stripes. So let's not be hypocrites and say that he's lost because we were in that same position. So we have to learn from our hardship and say, okay, this is why we have our own spaces, and instead of just being condescending. Well, if you're like the multifacial movement, that's different, but he would fit in right perfectly with us. Like, he could be on our panels and we can say, look, this is why we have our own movements. It's beneficial. So instead of yelling down his throat that he has to be a mulatto, we have to say the benefits of being mulatto and what our goals are and be more diplomatic towards the younger generation.
Well, that's why
you have to ease them in. You have to ease them in.
Biracial groups, I've always said on social media groups, I've said, look, I'm not into policing people who choose not to, who are mixed race, but choose not to have a mixed race status, or to, basically identify as what they are, which is biracial. I say, if they want to identify as monoracial or try to be monoracial, that's up to them. Maybe one day down the line, they'll change their mind. But my view is, I made it clear. I deal with people who are mulatto and see themselves as mulatto, who are biracial and see themselves as biracial. And I don't waste time with people who don't see themselves as biracial, who don't see themselves as mulatto. I don't waste my time with them. It's nothing personal. It's just, if I'm just gonna, when it comes to biracial affairs and mixed race aspects, I'm going to deal with the people who are part of a community or who see themselves, who are part of that status. I'm not going to deal with people who aren't, because it's a waste of time. It's also insulting to them. And it's, and I'm not a proselytizer. You know what I mean? I'm not an activist. I'm not a proselytizer. I could say I'm a slight advocate, but I'm not a proselytizer. I'm not here to say what the wonders of being mixed race or mulatto are. I'm not into that. It's just reality. It is who you are.
The thing about But the thing about that though is like if somebody like him, right, he probably seems talented and it's like brain drain. You don't want brain drain, and I don't believe in pleasing people, but sometimes you have to in the right situation because you don't want to lose all your talent and waste it away. If it's like somebody like multifacial, I could care less. But if it's somebody that's talented, we can ease his mind pretty much. Say like, look, have you ever thought about this? So what you have to do with these type of people, you have to just ask them questions and not be a therapist, but just talk with them. And you can advocate stuff, but you don't have to force them. You just have to know how to hit the right buttons.
I see your position. I can only tell you what my position is. My position is
that's fair.
I'm not into policing. I'm into working with people on groups on YouTube who are biracial and who are part of a community, or even if they're not part of a community, are biracial identified and status is mixed race. Because it's simpler, it's easier, it's no fuss, no muss. I'm not here to convince anyone to see themselves as what they are, which is mixed race and biracial. I understand your position, and I think there are some compelling parts of your argument, but at the same time, I can only say on my part, I'm not into that. If that's what you want to do, okay.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not into. I'm more of like you're free to join in. It's like, look, if you change your mind, you're free to join in, and we can work together. But if you don't want to, then I'm not going to bother you. But if you want to just get some more knowledge, then you don't say people. You don't say people that don't want to be saved.
I see your point. If you'll try to talk to them if they're amenable. If they're not, you go, okay, yeah. I see. No, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I can understand that.
Yeah, because he looks talented.
Right.
He looks talented. So why would I not want to invest in him?
I see your, like I said, I see your point of view. But my position is I couldn't care less. Right. I know he's talented and so forth, but I leave it entirely to the individual. It's up to that individual. When they feel comfortable enough to do it, they will feel comfortable. If they don't, I understand that.
I think the investment's worth it. I'm with you, Sharp, because I see potential in him as well. Like I said, he looks very diplomatic, like he's easy to get along with, like he's smart, intelligent. We need people like him. So I'm willing to invest and put effort into connecting with a gentleman like him, young and impressionable, who could help us, right? So I'm with you on that for sure. Let me continue on.
Recently.
Yes, sir.
And, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, those are all my heroes. They've been my heroes for years now, but I've been watching you for about a year. I'm subscribed to all your stuff, and I just really appreciate the message and, Black Power type thing,
Saying Black Power, that's cute, right?
Appreciate you. There's a brother by the name of Arthur Schomburg. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
I want you to research him. Arthuro, Arthuro Schomburg, Schomburg. He was an African Puerto Rican, very close friend with Marcus Garvey, and he founded the largest collection of African documentation in the world, and it's in New York City, and it's known as the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Life.
Yeah, I've been there. It's in Harlem, close to Columbia University. I've been to that museum. Pretty interesting. Yeah, the Schomburg Museum.
To visit it. You have to visit it. It's part of the New York City public library system.
I used to live.
You used to live in New York?
Yeah, I used to live in Brooklyn. I moved to Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to check him out. Arthur Schomburg, Puerto Rican African, identified with his African roots, and he was one of the first Black men to systematically.
Basketball is back. Watch the action live. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Snap your W and file your simple tax return with both Fed and State for.
I'm kind of embarrassed. I need to pay for that subscription pretty soon.
$11. Come on, Vanguard. $11.
These commercials are so annoying. Yeah.
It's worth it too. You get YouTube Music.
You get the music, you said?
You get YouTube Music and ad free, and you don't have to look at the screen. You can have your phone off with the screen off, and your video will still play. So the $11 is worth it.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
that must be a
The
heavily
first ones to do
monetized
it.
channel.
And he was
if
doing
they
it
got all those
before
commercials.
Carter G. Woodson.
Yeah, his channel, he's got over 100K subs, close to 200K. Yeah.
But Carter G.
Yeah.
Woodson,
This is from his channel. He calls himself King Kong Consciousness, So
Oh yeah, that's one of his. Yeah. Oh well, around there.
Woodson got named Father of Black History because he had a PhD from Harvard. So since he went to Harvard, he was given that title. But Arthur Schomburg was studying Black history before Carter G. Woodson, and he used to write for Marcus Garvey's Negro World
it's almost
newspaper.
done
So
right
you
here.
want to check him.
About
Arthur
2 minutes.
Schomburg, major African Puerto Rican, major.
Got you. And one more thing. I went to I'm on vacation right now, and like the last day of school, we have a ROTC like the major. I went in there because I had like a bunch of free time, and he's Black, and he asked me, "Would you ever join ROTC?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't really align with the ideals of being of America and stuff like that."
You hear that shit? Isn't that some communist shit? He doesn't align with the ideals of America, but he talks like an American, born and raised in America. What kind of traitorous shit is that? You see how he sets himself up to be an enemy combatant, literally publicly saying he doesn't want to join ROTC. He doesn't want to align with the ideals of America. He wants to be at the bottom, serving the crabs. He wants to be in a community, be a proud victim, right?
And the funny thing about that is just that if he joined ROTC, he would have tuition paid for, housing. He can start a good life in 3 years. And I know a lot of men don't want to join the army because of political reasons, but at least have a better reason because you're anti-American. At least say that America doesn't treat men right, and that'll be a more feasible reason. But
or treat veterans right. Do I really need to bring up the bonus marchers after World War II? So
yeah, but you have to.
I don't have an issue with him. I personally don't have an issue with him not wanting to be in the military.
Al, let Sharp finish his point real quick, and then
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sharp.
so the thing about I'd rather at least have him state a different reason. And let's say he joins the army when he's 18, he can get out when he's 21. He'll have a $50,000 bonus, free college, free tuition, and he'll identify as mulatto, and he would have a head start, and that can build community wealth. So now you have all this money, and you have a head start, and it'll be actually beneficial for the mulatto community, and you're one of our investments. So hopefully within the 5 years, we can get something going where we can give young men and women scholarships, but especially the young men, because the mulatto men are neglected. Then we can work towards the women when we get more money, but the men are neglected, and they're pretty much invisible at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Well said. Thank you. Go ahead, Al. Show.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about men in regards to women. I guess that yeah. I mean, I don't know what specifically. Again, it goes to the idea when it comes to mulatto men that there really isn't a space for them in regards to African American communities, or even maybe outside of them, other than the ones that they create themselves, right? There's more of an integration factor with mulatto women in terms of African American or Black American community. So there's more of a lane there. There's more of a space there. Whereas with mulatto men, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it comes from, I guess, political activism, maybe. Or I don't know about sports. That's not really a lane, but
the thing is, Al, we're all men here. We're all mulatto. We're making the lane now for ourselves. So this is our job as men to create and to build, and we're doing it now.
That's all you need.
I know you're gonna have the future is golden and the rest of the hyenas. Their whole position is to destroy what we're trying to build. And that's fine. They're going to fail miserably. They will not be successful. But us being the men, the masculine men, our job is to build and to establish integrity of what we're building. So we're doing that now. We're building the infrastructure now, and it's a beautiful thing. Go ahead, Hybrid.
I was just saying that's all you need. That's all you need is straight men. I'm telling you, just be straight men and build.
Yeah,
The
it's
rest will
just
come.
it's intuitive, right? It's intuitive
because we're in lockstep. You want to get in lockstep, and right, you can get in lockstep. You can synchronize.
Even though I could do it, like I was like, nah, I can't do it because military and like stuff like that. I want to be like a revolutionary, and like, I want to start my own institutions like you. I feel like a lot of young people are really looking up to you. So I really hope that you just never stop.
I wish he'd start an institution for mulattoes. I'm just plugging that in.
Never stop.
Never gonna stop. I'm doing it
because he's one of us, man. You look at him; he's quintessential. The hair, everything. He's looked a poster child for a mulatto. So, like,
y'all, bro, never.
Got you. And I want to send my kids to your school, like, you know what I'm saying? No snow bunnies. No snow bunnies.
No snow bunnies.
Yes, sir.
Making no babies until you out of school and you got your wife too. All right.
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, bro.
And of course, he's gonna tell him you gotta marry the blackest thing possible. What that is to neutralize mulattoes, to absorb us. This dark-skinned man, Dr. Umar, Pan-Africanist, he wants this light-skinned mulatto presenting gentleman. He wants him to marry the darkest black woman there is. So their child will be darker and then you'll be absorbed.
He's going to be miserable.
That's his goal. He wants all the mulattoes and light-skinned women to himself.
When he said he wanted to send his kids to his school, I almost gagged. Almost threw up.
He'll change his mind in a few years.
It's all sexual competition. It's sexual competition.
Oh my God.
He'll get his wake-up
That's
call.
just terrible. You don't want to go anywhere near that non-existent school.
Stay safe, Umar.
Yes, sir. All right, God. He was cool. He was cool. Wow, so many young people. So many young people.
It's about over. He's gonna address
FDMG grand opening. Gonna be off the hook. FDMG opening. Food, music, fellow.
Cool. That's it, guys. Guess we can kind of have a round table. What he says right here, we got.
That was great. That was great. That was great.
MLS says opposites attract. So he's trying to talk in something. Yeah.
I think that's African American vernacular English.
Oh, is that what that was? Good.
Is that right? Am I right about that? It's in the chat. I believe that's Ave. Yeah, I think that's African American vernacular English.
Yeah, they also have the AAE, African American English, but you added a V there for vernacular. Makes sense. Yeah, man. It seemed like he was kind of overcompensating, kind of like the multifacial movement. Because with Ghetto Grandma, she kind of talks like a trailer park Karen, right? She kind of talks like a trashy white lady. But with multifacial, she's trying to talk like she's a Pukisha from the hood that's been smoking blunts. But just throwing in some shade there. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's heavily like overcompensate. It's like I said, with the black sentence, overcompensation. Like I said, I find that I just think it's offensive personally, from my perspective. I don't know how African Americans feel or monoracial people feel, but I think that's offensive to them to try to adapt their accent and to try to talk that way to black people. I just don't feel comfortable. I don't
identity, cloak themselves in the kind of black identity.
I don't care for that. Yeah. I don't care for that.
Yeah.
I think it's disrespectful to black people to say that. I personally think that way.
Yeah, because the black people that I deal with, most of them, they talk like me. They speak English. They're very clear. So I don't really deal with the whole kind of black scent ebonics type people. I just can't, connect with them on that level. So yeah, and not all black people talk like nobody in my family talks like that. Not that I'm aware of. So it is kind of disrespectful, But yeah, man. Anybody else? What's your opinion on the video and basically?
I have an opinion. So the thing about the vernacular, there's no such thing as an African American vernacular. That's just insinuated into woke left ideologies that African Americans they speak an inferior dialect of English because no sane person speaks like that. Maybe in the South they have a strong Southern accent, but they're still able to sputter out their words coherently and correctly. And the thing about the mulattoes, the reason why they're afraid of speaking proper English is because black people say, "Oh, you're better than us. Oh, you're bougie. You think that you're smarter than us. Of course we are. We should not be afraid to be better than other people because
Right.
black people think that they're better than us. Black
And we're
people, they're
supposed to accept
smug.
it. Mhm.
Yeah, black people, they say, oh, we're better fighters than light skinned men. We can beat up light skinned men. But in
Right.
history, we've been winning. We've started most of our civil revolts. They can say in open that I'm going to beat light skinned dudes up and light skinned dudes are soft. But if we say that we speak better than black people, then it's a huge problem. It's colorism. But they can say that they're better than us in. But I don't want to get sexual. They're better than us in bed. They're better than us in life. They're better than us in sports. We cannot speak in politics that we're stupid. They even try to treat us like idiots in the workplace. I've had this happen to me before. I'm not exaggerating. Like they'll try to treat you like idiots and like children. So I hate it when mulattoes they're afraid to stand out and actually be excellent people. And that's something that we have to promote, a culture of excellence. And we should not tolerate anything less than that.
Oh
Well
yeah,
said.
that's very important. Never be afraid to show your best. Never be afraid to be excellent, because that's what you're going to have to be to a certain extent in this society. Unfortunately, with the economy the way it is, with employment, jobs, and careers and business the way it is, you're going to have to compete. And so, best to have the tools and to be excellent, and not to settle for second best. You don't want to do that.
Nice. Well said. Does anybody have any final thoughts? We're almost at the 3-hour mark. I'm gonna close things out. It's late. So I can go around in a circle. Since you just last spoke, Al, I guess I can go to hybrid. If you have any final thoughts, kind of closing things out.
Well, it was good. It was nice to not have to be like I'm so used to streaming and like doing so many things. It was nice to sit back and just like be like a part of the conversation.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt, man. Appreciate you.
With all just like a nice male panel.
Yeah, and men who can actually speak English, right? With no Irby characters, So, nah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate you hopping up here. You're always welcome. Obviously, it's Mulatto Sphere. So this channel is to promote mulatto people. We have this intelligent dialogue, and we look for solutions. Okay. And we're analyzing the history, looking at the present times. And like we see some of these mulattoes in the video that Umar was interviewing, we're like, look, we need to be in a position where we can bring people in to let them know we have a space for them as well. They can be themselves and we accept them as they are. They don't need to try to fit in and pick and choose white or black, etc. Just be a mulatto. We're in that position now, 2023, moving forward. It's on us. We can do that. So appreciate you jumping up here, hybrid, and I'll talk to you next time.
Hey guys.
Cool. Peace. Sharp, do you have any last words? Closing out the stream?
Yeah, this is an entire process. We have to be patient. And one thing that intrigued me is maybe we should bring somebody like him on this like channel and discuss and see where he's coming from. So it starts with diplomatic dialogue, and that's something that we have to return to. We have to return to the fundamentals of diplomacy, because, like I said, we're in a bad position right now, and we cannot depend on the past. Because you look at mulatto men, we lost complete influence over the black community to a point where we have to start our own community. Right. So we cannot let. It's like I don't want to be political. It's like the United Kingdom, right? Recently, the United States said that the United Kingdom is no longer tier 1, and that's humiliating because the United Kingdom, they colonized the whole entire world. Now they're relegated to the wonders of the past, what they did in the past. For mulattoes, we cannot be in that situation where we depend on what we did in the past, but what we can do in the future. And the world's become more multipolar. So I'll probably say within 5 years, I think that's the goal for us to be in the United Census. Within 5 years, it should be more realistic, and we can have our own websites and more organization. And for multifacial and all those other people, they can just be outliers. We have to just ignore the noise from the outside and keep on moving. But other than that, I hope everybody on this panel has a good night, and I'll be on here whenever.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for hopping up here. It's been a pleasure, and I'm definitely hoping to have you jump on a panel again. But I'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Peace. All right, Al, do you have any closing statements before I end the stream?
Yeah, this was interesting because I hadn't seen Umar, who, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I had wrote about 3 years ago for my blog, which is defunct now. The blog's defunct, but the articles are still up. And I hadn't really seen him interact with mixed race people because I don't watch him. I really don't watch much about Umar now. And as I mentioned previously about the formula for Umar in general and how he deals with people and how he does his grift, his con artistry, so to speak, I was able to see how he applies it to biracial people here. So I see the formula here. Part of it is this first of all, number one, inclusion, right? There's it provides a kind of balm, a kind of soothing lotion-like aspect where he says, yes, a smooth way of putting it where he says, yes, you are included, you are part of the community. So that's positive reinforcement, right? So inclusion factor, right? For the mulatto and the mixed race women primarily, but also men. Second aspect of the formula is punishing dissent, right? So you notice what he said after the first young lady from Milwaukee left. He said, I noticed these comments in the chat, and I will ban anyone who makes comments about mixed race, biracial people, mulatto people. They're a part of us if they choose to be, if they identify, and we won't tolerate this. And he mentioned about men who go after biracial women, but also put them down, right? So there's that punishment factor, right? So it's almost like, how do I put it? It's a carrot and stick. There's a punishment factor, punishment for disagreement. He's very punitive. So let's just call that punitive factor, right? So you have number one, inclusion, number two, punitive / punishment factor. And number three, what you have in regards to the formula for biracial people is the insistence on is the benefit, right? So part of that is you want them to feel comfortable to be part of a monoracial community or identify as monoracial because it's beneficial for said community, right? So, and we know that from what was brought out in regards to, I think it was DC had mentioned in the chat. And so those three facets, we could see the formula of Umar in regards to mixed race people that he talks to apparently on his Instagram or what have you, or elsewhere, right? Number one, inclusion. Number two, punitive punishment for dissenters. And number three, benefits of the biracial or the mulatto as monoracial or within that community, and thus encouragement. And I think that's something to keep in mind when we're dealing with the guy who I call the least requested scholar. So just keep that in mind now. We have an idea of what his stance to a certain extent is on biracial people and on mulatto particularly. And so that's something to keep in mind from the Prince of Scam Africanism. I do like what you said, the Prince of Popeye's chicken. That's funny. But I call him the Prince of Scam Africanism.
The Prince of Peach Cobbler, whatever.
Right. Well, what did I call him? Ding dong consciousness. Thanks for having me up. I appreciate it.
Just before you leave, man, I want to reiterate, go back to the fact is I can't believe I never knew there was a whole space dedicated to that guy, that they actually had a
strange.
sector.
I didn't know either. I did not know. And
I had no idea.
It changed in the time that I was around. In my dealing with it and that I was around it, it became basically an organized attack space. So it became this basically war zone, which
It
it still is
devolved.
to this day. It's
devolved, yeah.
it's scary. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's gone. If I were to tell people about that space and some of the people, the personalities in it, and what's come out about them,
Stay away.
they wouldn't believe it. Oh yeah, stay away from it. Yeah, you don't want to be around that. And because of what's happened with biracial, the issues of some of the people in that space with biracial people and what they've said about it, I had to warn people in the spaces here about that space. That's why I said what I said some time back. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't know that was a problem there. But I said, I got to do that. So yeah, that place, that's why I don't talk about it. People would not believe what has come out about people in that space. They would think it was something out of a movie. It's that I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's crazy. So thank you for having me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for hopping on the panel, and talk
All
to you
right,
next time.
thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Bye. All right, it's been a really good stream, you guys. 3 hours deep into this, so it's definitely an honor and a pleasure to be with you guys here. I'm gonna play a smooth jam to close things out, and then of course I'll catch you guys on the next one. So let's see what we got here. Do this one.